morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Bat Around. I'm your host, Paul Valley. With me, as always, is my producer and co-host extraordinaire, Zach Goodman. It is a beautiful Saturday here in the Towson and Baltimore area. A little overcast, but it's not Devil's Taint hot outside, so that's good.
Wow.
Today's show is brought to you by the Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. It's the best place for all the big upcoming events. The FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Bet on every sport with 61 self-service kiosks open 24/7. And watch all the action from the best seat in the house. Betting pads are coming to the FanDuel Sportsbook during football season. You'll be able to bet right from your seat while you watch all of the biggest pro and college games. Make your plans to hang out with your friends and reserve your spots for football season right now by emailing events@sportssocialmd.com. That's events@sportssocialmd.com. Zach, I think that this third mic is not muted.
It is. It is indeed muted.
I'm getting a lot of echo here.
Must be on mine then. I don't know. We can close the door. That might help.
Yeah, let's close the door.
Okay, let's do that.
Let's get that door closed. I think that's actually exactly what it is now that you mentioned it. You put the Zach in exactly. Right? Is that good? That wasn't good? No? I don't know. It felt good. It felt right. Yeah, that's much better. Is it? Nope, everything sounds the same.
Really? I don't know. It sounds fine to me. I'm not having issues over here.
Whatever. It's all right. As long
the
as
joke, by the way, it was okay. It's okay.
It's hit or miss. Most of the
hit
time,
or miss.
Most of the time for me, it's miss. Anyway, somebody that's or people that aren't missing. It's a great segue, Paul.
Great.
The Baltimore Orioles pick up their fourth consecutive win last night, going out and defeating the Pittsburgh Pirates 1-0. The Orioles left 27 men on base last night. There was not one hitter in the Orioles lineup that did not strand at least one runner.
27. 20. I know it was a lot, but 27 is an astounding number, really, when you think about it. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, it was not a good day for offense. And the thing is, the Orioles were clearly they were getting on base if they stranded 27 runners.
Sure.
Now, for the team left on base, they went 2 for 15 with runners in scoring position. One of those was an infield hit by Terrin Vavra that didn't even score a run. The other hit was the next batter. That was Ramon Arias, who had a little bounding ball. So they had the corners in, and they had the shortstop and the second baseman in double play depth.
Yeah.
And he hit a ground ball in the 5-hole. That if the third baseman's playing back, it's a ground out. Mm-hmm. But because Cabrian Hayes was playing in on the grass, the corners were in. It got by him. It got into left field past the 50-foot radius arm stretch of O'Neill Cruz, and he managed to get into left field to score the only run of the ball game. But yeah, I'm looking at it, and Mullins 1 left on base, Rutschman 2 left on, Santander 4 left on, Mountcastle 3, Vavra 1, Arias 3, Odor 4, Mateo 6,
wow.
Phillips 3. They only struck out 3 times the entire game, along with 3 walks. 2 of those strikeouts were Brett Phillips.
Does not shock me.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
We're going to get to that here pretty soon. But look, the Orioles, they had 10 hits. He scored 1 run. Dean Kramer, absolutely fantastic last night. 6 in the third innings, 4 hits, no walks, no runs, 2 strikeouts.
Yeah.
He only threw 83 pitches in those 6 in the third innings. He gives up the double. I was surprised to see Hyde take him out. But it's also kind of one of those things where you don't mind it because you know how good the Orioles bullpen is. You have O'Neill Cruz coming up against a tough lefty in Cianel Perez, and O'Neill Cruz is hitting like 186 against lefties this year. And we've seen Kramer implode in the past.
Yeah.
And Hyde took him out before he had an opportunity to do that, takes him out with the feel-good vibes. He had retired 14 straight before he gave up that double with 1 out in the 6th inning. To be taken out of the game. But look, solid win for the Orioles. Yeah, they didn't get a ton of hits with runners in scoring position. They left a ton of guys on base, but if the other team doesn't score, you only need to score 1, and that's what the Orioles did. They pick up that victory. Were you nervous at all with Felix Bautista there in the 9th inning?
You know, with most rookies, I think I would be. Given the fact that they haven't really pitched in those, kind of experiences that often. So this was really a first for him, and it was I think the closest game he's pitched in the ninth inning. He has pitched in the ninth inning, I believe, before, but it just hasn't been this close.
He had 3 saves on the year. He got 2 in St. Louis when Jorge Lopez was on the
correct. And I don't think they were 1-run saves, though.
No.
I think they were a little bit more than that, and Brandon Hyde knows that. And the fact that he's a little bit older, I believe he's 28, and he's a little bit more experienced. He's been around for a little bit longer than most rookies. You know, most rookies you're talking 24, 25. This guy's a little older, so I do actually have a lot of trust in him, and I think that he's going to be their long-term closer, at least for now. They're going to put that in their plans. And I love the fact that Brandon Hyde has that confidence in him, and I think that he's certainly pitched well enough and proven this year that he's more than just a rookie. He's an impact reliever right now, and that he can go in there in really any situation and shut it down like he did last night. So it's great.
He threw 17 fastballs last night, and all of them were over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
All of them. And you're watching the game, right? And I'm watching this in the ninth inning, and Ben Gamble gets the base hit, and then Brian Hayes comes up, and it's a 9-pitch at bat. And Bautista is pumping fastball after fastball after fastball, and Brian Hayes is just fouling him off. And you're sitting there and you're watching this, and you're like, I don't feel good about this. He finally throws a splitter, and he misses his zone by a good bit. It's high, and it's high. And he ends up walking to Brian Hayes. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, no. I turned into my father in that moment because literally what went through my head is O'Neal Cruz is a monster.
He is.
He's like Aaron Judge light right now.
Apparently, he hit the warehouse with a home run in batting practice.
Did he really?
That was the rumor. I think Zach Silver, one of the Orioles beat writers, tweeted that out, but I'd have to see who it was. But yes,
I don't know that anybody's done that.
I don't think anybody has, but O'Neal Cruz apparently did it yesterday.
Well, so O'Neal Cruz comes up, and you know that this dude is sitting dead red on a fastball.
Yes, yeah.
He's looking to get a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, middle in, get out in front of it, and pull that thing for a 3-run homer. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen. And it didn't happen. He strikes him out. And then he ends up striking out Kevin Newman, no relation to Melanie, to end the game. Orioles get the win 1-0. Now, look, Kramer, great game, 6 in the third shutout innings, 4 hits, no walks, 2 Ks. ERA down 3.43. This time last week we were talking about what do you do about Dean Kramer.
Sure.
Because he hasn't looked good in his last 5 starts. ERA above 6 his last 5 starts. There's one start mixed in there where he gave up nothing.
Yeah.
In 5 and a third innings. Now, look, it's against Pittsburgh. They have the second worst record in the National League, so we're not going to get all, up in arms about this. Like, oh, my gosh, he's back. Yeah. It's still a big league ball club with some quality bats in that lineup. Who is Dean Kramer? Because at this point, we've seen really good Dean Kramer. We've seen really bad Dean Kramer. Right. We've seen kind of mediocre. Who is this guy?
One thing Kramer's known for in the minors was to be having a great outing, and then he'd come out in like the 4th or 5th inning, and he'd have a huge inning where he'd just blow up. So first of all, I want to say I really like Brandon Hyde pulling him when he did, because you don't want Dean Kramer to blow up, because when he does, he clearly loses all confidence. I think Dean Kramer is one of the biggest head cases on this team, and I think it's unfortunate, but I think Dean Kramer really thinks about everything way too much and gets in his head about every single pitch, and I think that's one of his key problems. I think that when he starts thinking about things and when he starts stressing, he really turns into a different pitcher than he is when he's calm. And last night, I think he was calm throughout that entire game. I think he was throwing strikes. He was confident. And I think confidence, if he can just stay confident and know that he can get these hitters out, I think that's the biggest thing, because it's not about stuff. I mean, it's clearly there. You look at the cutters he was throwing, you look at the fastballs. They're getting guys to swing and miss. He's clearly got the stuff. It's just about confidence for me and being able to repeat it over and over and staying out of your head. And I think that's where he will really succeed. So who is he? I mean, I think he's that pitcher last night, as long as he can keep his confidence.
Well, yeah, and you saw that at the beginning of the year, where he was clearly pitching with confidence. You know what I mean? He came out and he's like, you know what, I can do this, I can get big league hitters out. And he was pitching with confidence. And then he starts giving up a home run here, a few runs there, and then the next thing you know, he's back to 2021. Dean Kramer. I think he's somewhere in between. I don't know that he's a guy that throws 6 in the third shutout innings, but I think he's a guy that can pitch to maybe a 4 to 4.20 ERA.
Sure, that's
through 33 starts in the season. But which is fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. This isn't 1990 to 99 where you have got like Pedro Martinez and Greg Maddux and Mike Mussina dominating. You know what I mean? I had to throw Mike Mussina in there because I love Mike Mussina. But this is a day and age where everybody throws 100 miles an hour. Everybody can get around on a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and the goal is to hit home runs and pretty much do nothing else. So a 4.20 ERA for me is plenty good this day and age.
That's all you're looking for from a 4 or 5 guy.
And his ERA is 0.8 runs better than that right now. So
exactly.
we'll take that. Now, Terrin Vavra finally starts getting some playing time. 3 more hits last night. He's 6 for 13 with 5 walks since being called
That'll
up.
work.
He's reached base in 9 of his last 10 plate appearances. The one plate appearance that he didn't reach on was last night, and it was a short hop to third base that was booted.
Right.
I thought that they could have given. I honestly, if they had given him a hit, I wouldn't have been surprised because it was a tough play.
It was tough. Yeah, I mean, it should be made by a major league player.
It should be made, but you don't know if Terrin Vavra coming out of the box and the ball hit that weakly, getting that head start out of the left-handed batter's box. You don't know if maybe he beats that out, right?
He could have.
He could have, and it was a tough play, but he still got on base, but it didn't count as reaching base by a hit or a walk.
Right.
This is a guy who is batting 5th last night. Look, he doesn't have the power to bat 5th, but he's earning the opportunity to play every day.
Yeah.
He's earning that opportunity because he's hitting and he's getting on base.
Right.
And you can tell by the at-bats. Look, everybody goes through a slump where they swing at pitches they shouldn't have. They kind of get away from the player that they normally are, and they have a hard time. And that's going to happen with Terrin Vavra. It happens to everybody.
Yeah.
But this is one of those guys you can tell isn't going to have prolonged slumps,
right?
Because he takes professional at bats.
He does. I mean, we look at the discipline of Adley Rutschman, and we talk so much about that.
2 more walks last night,
right? I mean, he just gets on base, and you look at Terrin Vavra, and it's not as good as Adley Rutschman, but it's sort of that same kind of thing where a lot of times where he's at the plate, you know he knows the strike zone, and you know he knows what he's doing up there, where he's just not going up there and swinging, sort of like a guy named Ryan Mountcastle at the moment, where you just swing at everything and chase everything. No, this guy knows the zone, and he has a great idea of what to swing at, and pitch selection's up there. So to me, Vavra is a guy who's going to get on base a lot, especially with walks. He's gonna draw a lot of them. So it's great to see. And I'm glad he's finally getting some playing time because Rougned Odor guys, not great.
Well, Vavra's a lifetime over 300 hitter in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
He gets on base at around the 370 clip for his career. In the minors, maybe higher. I think he might be higher than that.
Yeah, it's high.
That's who he is.
Right.
Now, look, maybe he doesn't get the same kind of looks that other prospects do because he doesn't hit 25 to 30. He's never going to hit that many home runs in a year. He might hit 5 to 10. Right? But if this is a guy that's going to get on base and he's got speed to steal bases on top of that, that helps your ball club. You mentioned Rougned Odor, 4 for his last 35, batting average down to 193.
Yeah.
With Vavra playing so well, how can the Orioles justify it? Now, look, and when I say that, they've been DHing Vavra. Right? I'm at a point now where let him play second base.
Yeah.
Put Odor on the bench, and let's see what you got. Let's see what you got here. And to that point, I don't want to steal the thunder from Orioles banter, but I'm going to a little bit. Gunnar Henderson needs to be here. Gunnar Henderson needs to be here. And you can have him play third base. You can have Ramon Arias play second. You can have Vavra DH, or you can have Vavra play second and Ramon Arias DH. You can also have opportunities to get Arias some rest and DH Rutschman. You have flexibility with your roster if you DFA Odor and you call up Gunnar Henderson. Henderson last night, a home run, a double. He's slashing 296, 398, 548, 946 in AAA. That's pretty damn good.
There's no doubt what he's doing is unprecedented.
And he's only gone hitless in back-to-back starts once.
Wow.
For Norfolk. Wow. And that was July 1st and 3rd.
Wow.
There's another time where he went back-to-back games without a hit, but the other one was a pinch hit appearance. He didn't start the game. He had a pinch hit appearance in the 9th, and he got hit by a pitch. So it doesn't even count as an official plate appearance. Only gone hitless back-to-back games once since he's been called up to Norfolk. I've reached my point where he has nothing left to prove. He has nothing left to prove. And you get him to the big league level, he's not going to do this at the big league level. But you know what he is going to do? He's going to take professional at-bats. And that's what you want right now. Rougned Odor is not taking professional at-bats.
No.
He's been a rally killer. When the Orioles were playing Texas on Monday, and they had an opportunity to score some runs. He came up in 2 separate occasions with less than 2 outs, runners in scoring position. The Orioles had already gotten something going in that inning, maybe scored a run or 2, and got out to kill a rally. And he did it the other day where they were rallying, and It was at that the final game against Texas, and he came up, and the Orioles, what was it? They had that 4-run or 5-run inning.
And
it was a 5-run inning, and he had I think he had 2 of the outs.
I think he did. Yeah, he's certainly not playing well. I mean, but for me, the conversation between getting rid of Rougned Odor and bringing up Gunnar Henderson is 2 different things. I think Henderson, he's still 21 years old, and yes, what he's doing is unprecedented. There's no doubt about that. He's performing at ridiculous levels. However, I'm still in the camp where the Orioles are not competing this year, most likely. They might make the wild card spot, but they probably won't. It's unlikely. We don't know. I'm not going to say one way or the other. However, I think if the Orioles were, really competing for either to win the division or if they were, 3 or 4 games ahead in the wild card race and they really had a good shot, I think bringing up Gunnar Henderson would be warranted. But with still being, 1.5 games back from the wild card spot now, I just don't really see the need for a 21-year-old yet. I just worry that, it's just too soon. And I think if you throw him in next year, and Mike Elias has made it very clear that they are competing next year 100%. They're going all in. I think he just fits better next year. And I think letting him just take at-bats and get consistent at-bats down to AAA right now is still more important. I don't want to say that he's not ready because he probably is. He's 21 years old, but he's probably ready. I just worry that right now is not the right time because it's still not – you're really not competing for the playoffs just yet. You're really not.
Well.
You might be, but you're probably not.
All right.
So I think the conversation between Odor and Henderson is different, if that makes sense.
Well, they're not going to DFA Odor with nobody to replace him, right?
Well, sure.
And they're not going to replace him with an outfielder, right? And they're not going to replace him with Richie Martin.
Hopefully not.
So
hopefully not.
So if you're going to, they're probably not going to DFA him.
See,
because Brandon Hyde loves Rougned Odor.
See, Westburg would be the better fit at the moment.
Westburg's not playing as well.
But he's older, and he has more experience. And I think right now it would make a lot more sense to throw that kind of guy into this team than Gunnar Henderson.
Maybe. I wouldn't be upset if they called up Jordan Westburg. But Gunnar Henderson is the more deserving player.
Oh, I don't disagree at all.
He's the better player, has the higher upside, and they called up a 19-year-old Manny Machado in 2012.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, okay, and that team went 69-93 the year before. That team was basically the same record as the Orioles. We're going to get into this in Orioles banter. We're going to get into it a lot more in depth in Orioles banter, but I'm all about put your best foot forward. Right?
Yeah.
You can't have and let's talk about Mike Elias while we're at it. Okay, so Mike Elias comes out the other day with the trade deadline. He was talking about the Trey Mancini and Jorge Lopez trades.
Yeah.
And his team was upset about the trades.
Sure.
They kind of saw the writing on the wall like we did.
Yeah.
But they were still upset to lose good friends, good teammates, and people that were clubhouse leaders.
Definitely.
And Elias says, I have to work in the realm of probabilities. And while we're
such an Elias comment right there.
And while we're chasing the wild card, the probability is that we're not going to get it. You can't say that out loud. You can't say that out loud. And that was as much of the look, he's saying exactly what you're saying. And he's
right.
And he's like literally word for word you're saying the same thing. You're probably not going to win the wild card. And we're all probably look, the fans that are out there that are all sunshine and roses about the Orioles, the same ones that love Rougned Odor because he hit a couple home runs 3 months ago, they think that the Orioles are going to make the playoffs. I think they can make the playoffs. They've got a long road to hoe to get there.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. Right.
They've got 56 games left. 45 of them are against teams that are currently at or above 500 right now. It's not an easy stretch. I think they have the toughest schedule in baseball. Yeah. The rest of the way, but Michael Elias, that was reason 1A that he flew to Texas to talk to his team.
Right.
Not because he felt like he owed them an explanation for the trades. No, he probably went down there because he probably talked to John Angelos, and Angelos was like, "What the hell are you doing? You can't say that out loud. That's PR 101." So he probably flies down to Texas and says to them, and has to say to them. Give them an explanation for why he said basically why he's doubting their ability to make the playoffs. And then, after that conversation, it's blue skies ahead. It's liftoff from here. I think we're in this. We have an opportunity to get into the playoffs, and we're all in this off season. We're going to go spend money on free agents. Because he said something incredibly stupid. He said something incredibly stupid, and now he has to backtrack. He has to cover his tracks and make sure that his team knows that he believes in them now and in the future.
Yeah, it wasn't the best comment. Certainly not from a general manager. It's probably a little different from me saying it for
Oh,
him
no, it's
than from him.
100% different. You're a radio talk show host. He's the general manager of the Baltimore Orioles.
It doesn't set a great example for his players, in my opinion. You say that, and it makes it look like what you said. You're not believing in your players. You're not believing that these guys can do enough to get there.
Mm-hmm. By the way, 4-0.
They are.
Since the trades.
They are 4-0. And Mike Elias, he didn't say the right thing there, but I think he, in the large picture, is right in a way.
Well,
because
I think most of us know that.
Right,
you still can't say.
And that's my point about Gunnar Henderson is if they were really, again, if they were 4 games, above, and they were in this, and they were 4 games ahead of all the other wild card potential teams, and they were really pushing, and this was looking promising and looking really good, then I would say no doubt Gunnar Henderson. No doubt. You bring up that guy because you got to keep what's going good. You got to keep it going good, if that makes sense. And
well, look, we're going to talk about this way more.
Okay.
Later in the show, we're going to get into this fully. We do only have a few minutes till Stan gets on here. I see your point.
Mm-hmm.
Gives me a lot to think about in the next hour. Until we get to Orioles banter, when we will discuss this. Speaking of what's happening in the next hour, Stan the Fan's going to join us at 10:25. You don't have to call him yet.
No, I'm just pulling some things up.
Stan the Fan's going to join us at 10:20, just a few minutes. Eric Arditti, I believe he's out of town, but he is taking about 10 minutes for us today to talk about Trey Mancini, which we're about to get into. And then from the Orioles radio and television networks, Kevin Brown is going to join us to talk about how much fun he's having covering this team this year. So that and more coming up on the Bat Around. I want to remind you the Bat Around is brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today. The trades. Trey Mancini, Jorge Lopez, and everybody's favorite player, cash considerations. Cash considerations actually went to Minnesota and Tampa Bay.
He did.
Orioles get Seth Johnson from Tampa Bay. Their number 6 overall prospect, number 2 overall pitching prospect, and Chase McDermott from the Astros, who is their, I think he was their number 12.
He was number 12
overall prospect. Now he's the Orioles' number 12 overall prospect. Pitched 1 inning last night for Aberdeen, I believe, or was it Bowie?
It was Aberdeen.
For Aberdeen, 3 strikeouts, no hits. He had a great performance.
He did.
They trade Jorge Lopez to the Minnesota Twins to get back Cade Povich, a 22-year-old in high A. Yenier Cano, he's 28-year-old right-handed relief pitcher who's now in Norfolk. Cup of coffee in the majors this year, terrible. Terrible in the majors so far.
Sure.
Juan Nunez, a 21-year-old right-handed pitcher in the Florida Complex League. International player that's 21 years old and he's still in the Florida Complex League. Not great. And then Juan Rojas, an 18-year-old left-handed pitcher, also in the Florida Complex League. We'll start with Mancini. I actually did not hate this trade because Trey was leaving at the end of the year, and the Orioles got 2 guys who could be part of their big league roster in a couple of years.
Sure. They did really well. They did way better than you ever could have expected for Trey Mancini. We talked in depth about this last week, that you don't trade Trey Mancini to get nothing back, and Mike Elias did really just the opposite of that. He got 2 players back. I would have been happy with one of them, and he got 2 of them. And to me, Seth Johnson, yes, he's getting Tommy John surgery. He's not going to pitch until 2024. However, Seth Johnson is a legitimate prospect. Like he's a legitimate middle of the rotation, kind of prospect. And Chase McDermott, probably a back of the rotation guy. That's kind of what the scouting reports look like on Chase. But again, the strikeout numbers are good for him. The minor league numbers look good for him. And,
I think he profiles as a reliever.
Yeah,
as a back-end reliever.
It's certainly possible. And he's certainly another prospect that, again, I would have been happy with one of them, and they got 2 of them.
Yeah.
So it's way more than you could have expected for Trey Mancini. The Orioles did very, very well with this deal.
Did you see what Mancini did yesterday?
He hit 2 home runs against the Cleveland Guardians. I did see,
including a grand slam.
Yeah.
5 RBIs.
Yeah.
He has 3 hits for the Astros, and they're all home runs.
Yeah.
And for some reason he's only started 2 games since being traded there. And he's had a pinch hit appearance in 2 other games.
A lot of Astros fans were like, Dusty Baker isn't starting his players they traded for. Christian Vasquez hasn't played much either, so it's been kind of odd.
I mean, when the rich get richer, I guess. But Mancini, Mancini's proving to them. I mean, he's had 2 starts and he has 3 home runs in those 2 starts.
Yeah.
So he is so glad to be out of Camden Yards.
I bet he is.
I think he's sad to not be playing for Baltimore, but he's happy to be in a stadium where he can hit a 400-foot fly ball and it's not an out.
100%.
Or a double, right? The Lopez trade, I thought they could have gotten a lot more. Now, Mike Elias thinks that Cade Povich is a potential frontline starter in the future, and he thinks he's going to be in Double-A later this year.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, right, if Cade Povich ends up being a guy who fits into your rotation next year, in the second half of next year or in 2024, and he's a 1, 2, or 3 in your rotation, he's going to be no better than a 3 because of who you have coming through, right? If he is that guy, the Orioles win that trade, right? But right now, they got a 28-year-old rookie reliever who is an ERA above 9.
Yeah.
They got a 21-year-old international prospect who's still in the Florida Complex League, and an 18-year-old who's in the Florida Complex League. Josh Hader's a more established closer, right? But but when you look at what relievers went for at the trade deadline, I thought the Orioles would do way better trading an all-star closer, and they just didn't. They just didn't.
Yeah, I think they're really putting everything on Povich. They're making sure that this is the guy in this trade. I think that was probably the guy that they really wanted from that system. And and Mike Elias clearly thinks he's going to be a very good pitcher. But it's a bit interesting that the media in MLB Pipeline and Baseball America and all these prospect ranking reports don't necessarily agree. They think he's probably more of a 4 or 5 and not so much a 1 or 2, which Mike Elias had him pegged at. So it's kind of interesting to me to see that divide, but Mike Elias has been very good at acquiring players over his time here. I mean, guys like Cionel Perez, Felix Bautista, these are guys he pulled out of thin air, more or less. So if he thinks Cade Povich is going to be at 1 or 2, I might trust him on that. He clearly knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I have not seen Mike Elias be wrong too often. So I think that if he likes Cade Povich, I'm willing to give him a shot and keep the jury out on what this trade is for the time being. Now, the final trade that the Orioles made just before the deadline is they traded cash considerations for Brett Phillips.
Yeah.
and it's so funny because on Monday, when I saw that Brett Phillips had been DFA'd by the Rays, and I texted Stan, I let him know we were running a few minutes behind. When I saw that he was DFA'd, I thought to myself, this would be an Orioles move as recently as last year.
Yeah.
Where they go out and sign this guy. Thank God we're beyond that. And then what happens? On Tuesday, they didn't even wait for him to clear waivers.
No.
They went out and they traded money for Brett Phillips. When you already have a roster that you had Austin Hayes, Cedric Mullins, Anthony Santander, Ryan McKenna, and Yusniel Diaz on your active roster. Why do you need 5 outfielders on your active roster?
You don't.
Right?
You don't.
And then why are you going to trade for a weaker hitting left-handed Ryan McKenna?
Well, that's
and people say that he's a better player than Ryan McKenna. He's not.
He's really not. He did put up 2.4 WAR last year. I will say that, but it was all because of his defense.
Well, but no, he had a career year.
He hit 12 home runs, but his on-base percentage was 300. That's not very good.
I think he hit like 250.
Yeah, he hit like it was like 220, 250, somewhere in that range. But still, it wasn't great. Like
it was like 220.
I don't want those numbers anyway. 300 on base percentage, I don't want that.
Right.
12 home runs, fine, but 300 on base, I don't want that. And I don't care if he's the best defensive outfielder in baseball, which apparently defensive runs saved, he is number 1 in that category.
However, don't care if he is.
If you're going to employ Ryan McKenna and Brett Phillips on the same roster, what are you doing?
How are you going to have a lineup that has Brett Phillips and Rougned Odor playing on the same day?
It's 2 automatic outs, really. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
And then he hits the double in his first at bat yesterday. It was cool. It was a speed double. He legged it out, right?
Great.
Anthony Santander gets a single on that, right?
Yeah.
But then you know that social media is going to be.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took a preemptive strike and put up I've been wrong before, GIF, because I knew it. But then he struck out twice.
Yeah, he did.
And I'm.
But look,
people came at me when I said I didn't want him on the team. They're like, he's the nicest guy in baseball. He's got a great personality.
Chris Davis was a nice guy too.
Yeah, and somebody who I've known my entire life sends me a clip of like in an article of Brett Phillips having a special relationship with this young girl who has cancer. And
that's awesome for Brett.
And you know, that she cried when he was DFA'd by the Rays, but he made a special point to go see her and everything. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
I am not hating on Brett Phillips, the man.
No.
High quality individual.
Yes.
And he makes you want to like him.
Tons of class,
right?
Yeah.
Classy guy, infectious personality, crazy, awesome laugh. I get it, right? I get it. I said to the guy, what do you want me to do with this?
Right.
I was like, I love how charitable he is. I love that he's a philanthropist. I love that he spends his time in children's hospitals and that he's such a great personality. I said, but that has nothing to do with how well he hits a baseball. These are separate things, and they should remain separate.
Yeah.
Don't make me feel bad for not wanting a guy who's hitting 147 on the Orioles roster because he's a nice guy.
His on-base percentage, 225 when he was traded to the Orioles. 225.
Right.
That is awful.
He is a wonderful human being, and I have no. If the Orioles traded for him and then put him in Norfolk, okay, I have no qualms with that.
Yeah.
Have him in the organization. Let him be an ambassador. Let him go to these Orioles caravans in the offseason and smile and be a great guy. That's fine. I don't want him playing the outfield for the Baltimore Orioles. Yeah, he's a great defender. That's awesome. But when he comes up with the runners on second and third in a one-run ball game and the Orioles need a hit and they've already exhausted their other options, I don't want that guy up.
And it's fine if you don't have Ryan McKenna on this roster. If he's your fourth outfielder and the only fourth outfielder, again, not having 5 or 6, but if he's the only fourth outfielder on this team, I'd be slightly more, I wouldn't love it, but I'd be slightly more okay with it. I'd understand it more. But Ryan McKenna isn't a great hitter. Brett Phillips is a worse hitter. And you employ both of them on the same roster. To me, I don't see it. I don't understand it. I don't get it. You know, besides the infectious personality. And it's great. You know, it's great that he's a good guy. I love that about him.
Ryan McKenna has a .7 WAR this year. He's hitting .250.
Yeah, much better than last year.
He's got 2 home runs. He's got 2 stolen bases. On base percentage, it's .307. He only has 7 walks compared to 41 strikeouts.
Almost 100 point higher than Brett Phillips.
But he plays good defense.
Yeah.
He's got a good arm. And you can go ahead and call Stan. He plays good defense. He's got a good arm, and he's a better hitter, far and away. So what are we doing here? Having Brett Phillips on this roster makes literally no sense to me. We'll see what happens. I can't imagine that they go forward trying in a playoff race with Odor and Phillips both on the roster at the same time, let alone the same lineup. And again, I get that these guys have great personalities. I get what they mean to a clubhouse and the leadership that they show. But you have to be able to lead on the field, too, not just in the clubhouse. And I'm not seeing the play that says that these guys deserve roster spots. I'm not seeing that play. We've got a great show ahead for you. In just a matter of moments, again, we have Stan the Fan Charles joining us. From Barstool Sports at 11 o'clock, Eric Arditti is going to join us to talk about Trey Mancini. And at 11:40, Kevin Brown from the Orioles Radio and Television Networks is going to join us to talk about the Orioles season, how much fun he is having. But right now, as I mentioned, joining us on the line, he is Stan the Fan Charles, and he's live with us here on the Battery Run. Good morning, Stan. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Really well, Stan, especially since the Orioles are 55-51 after that 1-0 victory last night, just a game and a half out of a playoff spot. And Stan, let's talk about that game last night. Dean Kramer hasn't been great the last month or so, but 6 1/3 shutout innings last night. Only throws 83 pitches, 4 hits, no walks, 2 Ks. ERA down to 3.43. Just when I think that he's back to being his old self, he comes out and puts up a gem like that. What did you see from Kramer last night?
Manager Brandon Hyde after the ball game said he thought it was the best game he's ever pitched for him. I find it hard to totally judge. I mean, clearly he had his curveball working a little bit better, and that's a big assist for him. Mm-hmm. But the lineup that he was facing, it's tough for me to judge when I see such an inept lineup. You know, that's the way you should pitch against. That's the way you should pitch against them. You know,
right, and that's kind of what my thought process was last night. Was okay. he had a great game, but it's against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, look, not to take anything away from the Pirates, they have some good players in that lineup.
Yeah.
But that's what you're supposed to do. Like you said, if you're a pitcher in the major leagues and you're worth anything, you should be able to shut down a team that has the second worst record in the National League. I agree with you there.
Yep.
Now, Stan, Taron Vavra comes out last night, 3 more hits. He reached base in the Orioles rookie record 7 consecutive plate appearances before reaching base again, but because of an error by the third baseman. All told, he is 6 for 13 with 5 walks since being called up and has reached base in 9 of his last 10 plate appearances. He was batting 5th last night, saying he's not going to be your prototypical number 5 hitter, but this is a guy who takes professional bats and gets on base. Is he making a statement that he deserves more playing time at this point?
He's making a case for it. By the way, we got a note this morning from Nate Rowan, who's the senior coordinator of baseball communications. In other words, he's a PR.
Mm-hmm.
He's top PR person there. That Taron Vavra's single in the second inning was his 7th straight plate appearance, reaching safely since August 1st.
Right.
He's the first Oriole rookie to reach safely in 7 straight plate appearances since Jerry Hairston Jr. from September 6th through 8th back in 1999 per Elias.
Right. So I guess he didn't set an Orioles record, but that's what it was.
Yeah, I think he tied it, and it's not clear whether somebody else has done it. So I mean, it's great. There's no question.
Mm-hmm.
What I like about Favre is he's sort of in the Rutschman school of controlling the at bat.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't know he had those kind of skills. I've since found out through hearing Palmer talk about it that his father, he's the son of a coach, so he's got a lot of the fundamentals. There were a couple plays last night where I think, okay, he's going to go from first to third, and he stopped and he did the right thing. He would have been out by like 30 feet.
Right.
I mean, he runs the bases well. He commands his at bats. He's a nice player. You gave up. It's funny. I always thought he was kind of the star of the deal for Michael Givens. We got Tyler Nevin back in that deal, and I'm not totally unsold on Nevins, but watching Vavra, I think he was the star of that deal.
Well,
He just didn't make it up in the same pace that Nevin did.
In his minor league career, and we're spanning 4 seasons, he's a .306 hitter with a .410 on base percentage in 4 seasons in minor league baseball, and it's translating now to the big league level. Now, look, Zach and I talked about this. I don't expect this to last for him. I expect that he's going to go through his struggles as well, but he takes professional at bats, and that's something that you want in your lineup day in and day out.
Yeah.
Stan, and when you look at how the Orioles have handled Vavra so far, the fact that he really hasn't played much of any infield so far, does that do you read between the lines there? Do you think that they don't really trust his defense that much in the infield, or do you think they just think Odor is the better option there?
I think they feel that, and I'm not saying Brandon's going to go with the seat of his pants. I think he likes right now the Urias, Mateo, Odor being out there.
Yeah.
That they sort of, there's a certain esprit de corps with them. And I'm not saying we won't see Vavra at like second base, but, so far I think we've seen him at DH and left field, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that if that's going to keep him in, as long as they have him in the lineup, I'm still not the biggest fan of Odor, who's 4 for his last 35 and his average is down to 193. But I digress.
Right.
As long as they have his bat in the lineup,
we all know what Odor is based on the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
It's the question is, what else is he bringing to the team? And I would laugh at when they signed him, and I think we talked about it several times.
Yeah.
Why would you want to bring a guy with a 260? But when I watch him play, I understand what Brandon Hyde sees in him, and the analytics people. That there's something. We're so analytically driven that you can miss certain other things, and the guy does appear to be a winning ball player.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's worth, but
He's got a winning personality, and with that in mind, the Orioles traded for a guy who has a winning personality in Brett Phillips. But then you have both of those guys in the lineup last night, and Stan, I just can't justify it. I can't justify having one guy who's hitting 145 with a 220 on base percentage and another guy who's hitting 193 with a 240 on base percentage. I can't justify having both of those guys in my on my roster, B, in my lineup, and not mine, but the Orioles in the lineup on the same day. Those are basically two automatic outs, and I love that they're infectious with the team and they have a great personality and they have great leadership.
I get what you're saying,
but you got to be able to play.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Speaking of which, why did the Orioles trade for Brett? I legitimately, because we're going to talk about the trades here, I legitimately want your opinion on this. They already have their 3 starting outfielders and Ryan McKenna. At the time of the trade, they had Yusniel Diaz, who we knew was just getting a cup of coffee while he had the opportunity. But you don't really do you really need 5 outfielders on your active roster? Well, I did not see a fit for Brett Phillips, and yet he's here.
Yep. Caught me off guard, but again, he played a lot of winning baseball for the Tampa Bay Rays,
Yeah, and they did trade Trey Mancini.
And they did. It's not like they gave up. Again, they traded cash consideration for him, so it wasn't like you gave up some type of talent for him,
I guess the thing is that we've been sitting here waiting for Kyle Stowers, who's having another tremendous season. You have Colton Cowser, who's tearing the cover off the ball in Double-A, and you know that when Stowers gets called up, Cowser's probably headed to Triple-A himself. Why? And I get that it's a 40-man thing too, because Stowers isn't on the 40-man and Brett Phillips is. But why not call up Stowers?
It's a bit of a head scratcher, But again, you send the message by going all young at that point in time. You're sending the exact message that Mike Elias was trying to kind of step back from, where he said he didn't like the team's chances. The probability wasn't high that they were going to make the playoffs. So he brought in a veteran guy. Obviously, Brett Phillips isn't a star player. There's no question about it.
Right.
I wouldn't want him on my rotisserie team. But he does take professional at-bats. He does run the bases well. He does play defense very well. And, that's why he's here right now.
Yeah, no,
another kind of winning ball player. I think they wanted to inject a little bit of something into the team that they see in him.
Yeah, and look, I get his merits on the baseball field and in the clubhouse. I understand it. I see the fit from that standpoint. I guess I just want guys that can hit.
We'd like better baseball players than him and Roughneck Odor. In the meantime, they're both on the team, and the team is 4 games over 500.
That's big facts. Now, 2 guys.
they haven't lost a game. They haven't lost a game this week.
That's true. And now 2 guys that are no longer on the team: Trey Mancini and Jorge Lopez. Let's start with Trey, Stan. We've been talking about Trey being traded for over a year now. Were you surprised that they actually got a decent return for Trey? I mean, they got 2 guys who could factor into the major league pitching staff within the next 2 years.
Yeah, I think Mike Elias was very creative in. I'm not sure exactly the machinations, how the 3-way deal came about, but I think it was very creative to get a talent as good as Seth Johnson, and a potential upside on the other guy. The other guy immediately, to me, looks like relief pitcher.
That's what I thought.
Chase McDermott.
Yeah,
but
he came
Seth
out.
Johnson is. Yeah, go ahead.
Chase McDermott came out last night. He got to start for Aberdeen. 1 inning pitched, 3 strikeouts, no hits, and then they had a rain delay, so he didn't come back out to pitch again. But that, to me, just reeks of back end reliever when it's all said and done.
Yeah, when you look at the strikeouts per innings pitched, that's not really, in today's baseball, that's not really something you could keep up at that level,
Right.
So I see like him and DL Hall being really good in the middle of games,
Yeah. I'm still holding on to hope that DL Hall can be a legitimate starting pitcher. But if that's what happens, that's what happens.
I don't see it. I honestly don't. There's not enough. I kind of feel the way I felt about Dylan Tate when the Orioles got him.
Mm-hmm.
I said, this guy's got a lot of talent, but I don't see why in the world the guy, when they got Tate, how old was Tate when they got him? About 24?
I think so.
25?
Like that. Yeah.
And the guy, the most innings he'd ever thrown in the minor leagues was like about 60 innings.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about making him a starter, and I go, when is he going to be able to make the innings jump? This guy's a relief pitcher. And I sort of see the same thing with DL Hall.
It makes sense, especially when you look at the fact that he's never thrown more than 90 innings, and he's at like 72 right now, and his last 2 starts have not been good by any stretch.
Right.
Now, we saw this coming with Trey. Did it soften the blow at all when he got traded, or because you would kind of resign yourself to the fact that he was going to be traded? Was it kind of like, all right, it's done now, let's move forward?
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. I felt it was an interesting return, and then and I'm not saying it softened the blow, but I was listening to Elias. I was not on that Zoom that he did after the Mancini trade, but Brett Hollander played it like 5 minutes of it on the post-game show that night.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Tuesday night. And I saw 4 veiled references to the idea of bringing Trey back, and that was very interesting. I just think it's almost like once you let a player get to free agency, once you let a player go to a winning environment like that, and he's responding in Houston.
Yeah.
I think Houston will think nothing of giving him a $39 to $45 million 3-year contract, and then that'll be that. But it was interesting, and that would really be a very creative, positive way to show your fans that you really mean what you're saying about, hey, we're all in now, would be to get that benefit that you got in picking up 2 pitchers like that and then bringing the player back, But, again, it begs the question of where's the fit,
Right.
Stan, had you heard anything about the Astros? Because I was all inclined to think that the Mets were getting Trey Mancini based on, Andy Martino, one of the Mets beat reporters, consistently tweeting out that the Mets were scouting Trey Mancini at Camden Yards a lot. But how surprised were you at the Astros actually being the team in the end?
Well, I'd heard sort of the idea of bantered about that they were interested in Cedric Mullins for a veteran starting pitcher like Jose Urquidy. But I guess it was a little bit surprising. But in recapping the draft, Luke Jackson, our managing editor and baseball savant, really brought up a good point. I don't know that the Mets have, because I was really surprised. I wrote a month ago that Buck Showalter was going to go in and really lobby Steve Cohn and Billy Epler to get him another 1 or 2 important pieces, okay? So he could not only get to the playoffs or not only win the NL East, but that he really could compete for the World Series. And any team with Scherzer and DeGrom at their best obviously can compete for winning a world championship if those 2 guys are running on all cylinders and they're healthy. And I thought it was a big risk not to have gone after a couple more big talents there with the Mets. They end up doing sort of tinkering type of deals, picking up Tyler Naquin, who, by the way, has played well for the Mets so far.
Yeah.
Dan Vogelback, but the bottom line is what Luke pointed out to me is they don't really have a lot in their system right now that was going to be attractive enough to pull off Trey Mancini from the Orioles.
Yeah, especially when you consider what the Orioles
they don't have that
kind of
They don't have that kind of pitching talent in the minor leagues where they were going to be able to give up somebody that we wanted.
Yeah, and look, I'm glad Trey had an opportunity to go to a place where his long fly balls are home runs, and he has an opportunity to go potentially win a World Series. So I'm happy with where Trey ended up. I was surprised, Stan, to see that in his first week there, he only got 2 starts and 2 pinch hitting appearances, but in his 2 starts, he hit 3 home runs. So I think he's going to get a lot more playing time now because of that.
Did you hear about the historic record that he set?
No,
he became the first player in baseball history to homer. Now, was it the first 2 at bats or 2 in his first 2 games? He homered with 2 teams now: the Orioles in his first 2 games, and the Astros. No other player in baseball history had done that.
Yeah, he so I guess his first 2 starts, because he did get a pinch hitting appearance in his first game with the Astros, and then in his first start he homered in his first at bat.
Right, his first 2 starts with a franchise, he hit home runs.
Yeah,
2 teams. Nobody had done that before.
I had no idea. That's awesome. That's awesome,
yeah.
and it's
cool.
fitting for Trey. I'm glad, and I think you can tell that the trade rumors were wearing on him, and that's why he was slumping so terribly for the Orioles, because he goes to reinvigorated, rejuvenated down there in Houston, and it's showing, and he looks like 2019 Trey.
He's got Mo on his shoulders there.
Yep.
There you go. Mo's hanging with him.
I think we're all pulling for him. Now, I do want to briefly talk about the Jorge Lopez stuff, because there are other questions I want to get to, and we have limited time. Lopez gets 4 pitching prospects in return, going to the Twins. Blows a save last night, even though the Twins pulled out the win in the ballgame. Stan, I was okay with trading Lopez. I feel like I expected more in return. I feel like if you're trading an all-star closer that has team control, then maybe you can get back a Major League ready player, a Major League ready starter. They got 4 pitching prospects. Mike Elias thinks Cade Povich is a potential future top-of-the-rotation guy. They got Yennier Cano, who's a 28-year-old international signing rookie who has gotten a cup of coffee, not a good cup of coffee, in the majors this year.
Terrible cup of coffee, yeah.
But they only and then they got a 21-year-old in Juan Nunez, who's still in the Florida Complex League. I look at their return, and I was left unsatisfied by what they got back for an all-star closer with team control.
Well, you might be unsatisfied. I think Mike Elias and Kobe Perez are probably very satisfied. Mm-hmm. You know, one thing to remember about these guys, they don't just sort of run names through the ringer and go, hey, can you give us this guy and that guy? They go in, and I would be willing to say, remember how Brad Ciolek mentioned that last year they were real close on picking some pitchers and they missed on them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would bet that they were very interested in Cade Povich. I bet they were very interested in Chase McDermott, you know, and those are a couple guys that were high on their list and they just didn't pan out getting drafted. Now we don't have to give them any signing bonus. We get them for free, so to speak, you know.
Yeah.
And I would bet that a couple of those foreign players, the young arms, were guys that Kobe Perez wanted to sign. We either didn't have the international signing money available, or they just were just out of reach. I think there's a method to Elias's approach. You know, he and his scouting department.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I think they get a lot. I think they get a lot of players that they were interested in a prior lifetime, so to speak. And by that, I mean 1 or 2 years removed from. And they go, hey, we can get a chance to get these guys.
There's not a doubt in my mind that they have done their homework on everybody that they got back. Not a doubt in my mind. I had thought that they could get somebody who was close to Major League ready as a starter.
I'm not knocking you, Paul, or myself. We don't see these guys at all.
We do
We've
not.
never seen,
you are absolutely
Cade
correct.
Povich. Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. We
so
do not. It's just
I'm at the point with the rebuild where I'm sort of trusting in Elias that he knows a lot more. He and his staff know a lot more, and we'll in 2 or 3 years we'll say we can either say, hey, I was right what I said on August the 6th, or boy, you were full of crap, you know, back then. They didn't really know that much more than you or I, you know.
Here's what I will say, Stan. Mike Elias has done everything he said he was going to do in his introductory press conference. He's done everything he said he was going to do. He's checked each box in order, and now the next is winning championships. And let's talk about that, because he addressed that this past week. Now, first of all, you already mentioned it. He said that he works in probabilities, and it's not a high probability that the Orioles win a wild card spot. Not the best thing to say publicly. When you're the general manager of a baseball team, I think. And I think that was just as much of a reason as anything else for him flying to Texas after the trade deadline to talk to his team leaders, because he kind of put his foot in his mouth there. Now, he comes out after those meetings with his team leaders, and he says, the window's open. We have a decade ahead of us of championship-caliber baseball, and it's liftoff from here. We're going to spend some money this offseason. What does that mean to Stan the Fan, Charles?
Well, I think it would mean that they would look. We can project what Grayson Rodriguez is going to be like next year, and Tyler Wells. I don't think we'll see either of them pitch again this year.
Right.
But we can project that they're going to be part of this rotation next year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they'll invite Jordan Lyles back. He's been sort of what I expected.
Yeah.
I would have expected a little bit better overall, but what he has done is you can't underestimate how much his innings have helped the bullpen be a little stronger than it was the last couple of years. You know, there's certainly more talent out in that bullpen, but to me, it speaks, if he's really talking and means what he says, they got to go out and get somebody that's near a number one established starter, and that's going to be very hard to do. You know, on the free agent market.
Yeah, they're going to have to convince somebody to come here. Yeah,
they're going to have to. You know, somebody like an Eduardo Rodriguez before whatever personal problems he had this year. You know, somebody that you thought could be the head of a young staff, but who was a 30-year-old veteran. That's what they need. I don't know. I haven't looked at the free agent. You know, I'm not mulling that right now. I'm sort of into the day-to-day watching the team. But if he's serious about that, they've got to add a starter. And frankly, I would prefer it to be a left-handed starter, you know, because they got like 6 candidates, right-handers. They got Bradish, Rodriguez, Wells, Kramer, Watkins, and Lyles, and they're all right-handed.
Yeah, there's so Carlos Rodon is a guy that comes to mind for me. Is somebody who I think is probably going to opt out with the Giants after this year, and he's somebody who could be had. But again, this is something that we'll be more privy to and have more information on once we get to the offseason.
On a talent level, I'd love Carlos Rodon. I don't think that's going to be a practical guy. I think he's going to be in like an $80-90 million.
So you don't think that you don't think that they're going to spend big money? You think they're going to spend smart money?
I think they're going to spend smart money. It should be somebody that makes more than Jordan Lyles.
Mm-hmm.
It should be somebody like, I'm just going to throw out a name. I saw like what Jake Odorizzi makes. You know, somebody like that, a little bit younger than that. You know, but somebody that makes maybe 11 or 12 million, like a $23-24 million 2-year contract or something like that. You know.
Somebody that comes in, he's not the best pitcher in baseball, but he's somebody who goes out there and consistently gives you quality innings. You know, and
he gives you quality. Yep.
He's not going to have 20 quality starts and 10 starts where he's out of the game in the 4th inning. Right. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. All right, Sam, we are up against it. Thank you so much for your time.
Sounds like you got a great show. All right. I'm sorry I'm talking so fast this morning.
No, what? No, you're doing great. We'll talk to you next week, Stan. Thank you so much.
All right. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye.
All right. See you. And that was Stan the Fan joining us for his weekly segment. He is with us every week, but you can also find him with 2 great shows every week. Every Monday night, Stan and former Orioles pitcher Ross Grimsley visit with a different guest from the world of baseball. And every Thursday night, Stan and Gary Stein chat with a different newsmaker from the world of sports. This week, Stan and Ross caught up with new Hall of Famer Tim Kirkchin, and Stan held his sports business roundtable with former pro sports executives Andy Dolich and Marty Conway. Find those shows under the videos tab at facebook.com/press PressBox Sports or at PressBoxOnline.com/video. Be sure to tune in on Monday when Stan and Ross are back with another great show. Guest to be determined. We got to catch our first break. When we come back in, Zach's going to sound off. Then we're going to get Eric Arditti on the line to talk about Trey Mancini, his impact on Baltimore, and his impact on now the Houston Astros. That and more next on the Bat-Around.
Summer is in full swing, and so is the summer seasonal menu at Glory Days Grill. Start with the opener, flash-fried pork belly with their popular Korean No. 2 sauce. And try their South Carolina barbecue chicken, or back by popular demand, the lobster roll with grilled corn. Also try the irresistible crab and lobster fries, or the very berry salad with chicken. And for dessert, the Cracker Jack sundae with a waffle, ice cream, and Cracker Jacks. This menu will be gone. Find out more and get your order in at glorydaysgrill.com. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
I'm Griffin Bass, and I have the extraordinary, mind-blowing, and life-affirming pleasure of being the new producer for the absolute funniest, smartest, and most handsome sports host in all of Baltimore. Wait a second, Glenn, I'm working for you, not Jeremy Kahn. If you're not listening to Glenn Clark Radio, here's what you're missing.
He's Coach Kevin Willard.
Glenn, thanks for having me.
Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Rashad Bateman.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
He is outfielder Cedric Mullins.
Thank you guys for having me.
Trey Mancini.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Mr. Marcus Williams, who's now with us.
Man, appreciate it. Happy to be on.
Ravens kicker Justin Tucker.
Thanks for having me.
Adley Rutschman.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
John Angelos.
Thanks a lot. Good to be with you.
Ryan Mountcastle.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Marlon Humphrey.
Thank you.
Talia Tungavailoa.
Thank you guys for having me.
He is J.K. Dobbins.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
The great Ray Lewis.
Always good to be on.
He is Mr. Cal Ripken Jr.
Good chatting with you.
Watch Glenn Clark Radio at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and listen live at PressBoxOnline.com/radio or anytime on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or anywhere you get your podcasts.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a wide range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Toyota to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows that the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
All right, welcome back to the Bat-Around. Just want to remind you the Bat-Around is brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, which is the best place to be for all the big upcoming events. You can bet on every sport with 61 self-service kiosks open 24/7 and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. Betting pads are coming to the FanDuel Sportsbook during football season. You'll be able to bet right from your seat while you watch all the biggest pro and college games. Make your plans to hang out with your friends and reserve your spots for football season right now by emailing events@sportssocialmd.com. That's events@sportssocialmd.com. Zach Goodman, Eric Arditti said we could take our time, so we're going to
Sure.
I couldn't think of another place in the show to do sounding off. So, Zach, what do you got for me in sounding off with Zach Goodman?
Sounds good. I'll try to make this one quick so we can get Eric on the line. But I think the Phillies made one of the most underrated moves at the MLB trade deadline. They acquired Noah Syndergaard from the Los Angeles Angels for Mickey Moniak, who was the number one overall pick. Moniak, in a number one overall pick in 2016, and a guy named JDL Sanchez, who's now ranked number 29 in the Angels farm system. So we saw the Angels, this year looking like they're going to start to go for it. They had Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, obviously Anthony Rendon was finally healthy again. So they signed Noah Syndergaard thinking that, he was going to be at the top of that rotation, maybe their 2 or 3 guy. and was going to be excellent for them. And he hasn't been excellent. He's been okay. His ERA is around in the mid-4s. He's been fine. His WAR is around 1.2 right now. It's nothing special, nothing incredible. But Noah Syndergaard has come out and really been reliable throughout his entire career. He's had great years, don't get me wrong, but he's been a reliable pitcher throughout his entire career. And the Phillies are a team that really, if you look at the past 4 seasons, have had good bats. It's just been the starting rotation that's really let them down in the end. You've had guys like Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler. They're great, don't get me wrong, but it's the back of the rotation where guys just aren't coming through for them. And right now, Zach Eflin, one of their better starters, is on the injury list right now. This is a great ad for them as a 4 or 5 starter. Noah Syndergaard is going to come out there, I believe, and his first start didn't go great. He had a few good innings and then imploded a little later on. But he's a guy who should be able to come out there and reliably give them innings and be that guy where the Phillies really haven't had that guy in these previous years, and they just haven't had that reliable starting pitching at the back end of the rotation. There were a lot of good trades in this this trade deadline where I loved the Yankees getting Frankie Montas. There were some great moves. But look, this guy should be really reliable, and you gave up basically nothing. If you look at Jadiel's numbers, they aren't very good. His career batting average in the minors is around 230, and his on-base percentage isn't all that high either. And then Mickey Moniak, he's had a cup of coffee now in the major leagues, but he's been basically a disappointment since being taken number 1 overall. And he's a guy who's basically nothing at this point. I don't think Moniak's really ever going to be anything at the major league level. So they basically gave up nothing and got a reliable 4 or 5 starter. So I love that
had no
move.
idea that Mickey Moniak was a number 1 overall pick.
And he's been horrible.
Yeah, I looked at his numbers. Yeah. He's been really bad. His entire career, I had no idea that he was number 1 overall pick in 2016.
Yeah.
To me, Mickey Moniak was just a guy.
Yeah,
Because I've heard of him. I've seen him play a couple of times.
Sure.
And I've never thought anything more than he's just a guy. I had no inkling of an idea that he was the number 1 overall pick in 2016.
He's been a huge bust. I mean, there were so many in the mid-2000s or 2010s there with, the Astros picking Mark Appel and Brady Aiken, 2 guys who Mark Appel finally just made the majors actually with the Phillies, but 2 guys that were huge busts at number 1 overall, and then Mickey Moniak with the Phillies in 2016. So you're basically trading nothing away to get a guy who, in my opinion, can be very reliable for you and can give you innings, and that's really what the Phillies have struggled with. So good on them for finally adding a piece that I think is really going to help them. They went out, they got Castellanos, Schwarber. They're loading up now, and I think that the Phillies could really make a run at it in October. I really think they could.
The way you'd heard Noah Syndergaard talked about with the Angels this year, you would have thought the ERA was above 5.
No, it wasn't bad at all.
He's got a 4.02 ERA on the season.
Yeah,
he's pitching well,
and it's only there because he had a ERA of like 7.20 so far with the with the Phillies.
Because he gave up 4 runs in 5 innings.
Yeah.
So to me, Syndergaard's a great ad. That's
incredible
a great
ad.
I honestly kind of hoped in the back of my mind that the Orioles would somehow work out a way to get Syndergaard here.
I don't think they would have done it because he's a rental, but he's gone at the end of the year. He's due like $22 million this year. It was an expensive contract for what it was, but I think that also gives the Phillies an opportunity to extend him. I mean, they can say, hey, want to stick around if he ends up being good. And again, this is really what they've struggled with. They just haven't had consistent pitching. Ranger Suarez has been a lot better than expected, though. I'll give him that. So,
well, the bullpen has always been an issue for them.
It has been so.
But look, the Phillies making a run at it. I think they hold a wild. They hold a wild card spot right now. It's a solid move for the Phillies. They definitely need a starting pitcher, especially with Eflin going down. So, I have a soft spot for the Phillies. My 2 best men in my wedding are both from Philly. My stepfather's from Philly, so I find myself paying attention to the Phillies and hoping that they can make a run at things. And I'm a Bryce Harper guy. I didn't used to be, but I think Bryce Harper is just so damn talented. I actually think he is a quality human being. So watching the Phillies play well, and they've underperformed. They have underperformed the last few years, and if they have an opportunity to get into the postseason, I'm here for it. So I do like the move to get Noah Syndergaard on the Phillies. Moving on to a trade that the Orioles made that was not popular, to say the least. I had a woman approach me in the gym the other day, and she saw me wearing an Orioles hat. And she comes up to me and she says, I saw your Orioles hat, and I just had to come talk to you. Isn't it a shame what they're doing to our Orioles? And I look at her, and I go, what do you mean? She goes, well, they traded Trey Mancini, And then they traded our closer. She goes, I guess they don't care because they're going to sell the team and move him anyway. And I had to reassure this woman like 3 different times that the Orioles are never leaving Baltimore. But the overwhelming theme from a lot of people is that they traded away the Orioles' best player in Trey Mancini. Trey Mancini is a very good player. At this point in his career, he was not the Orioles' best player, and he was mired in a terrible slump. And we think because of the deadline. Nonetheless, he's a very good player, and that is clearly evident by what he's done in Houston in his limited time there. And it was a sad day to see him go. I got choked up when he got traded. I got choked up when he had the inside the park home run in his final at bat at Camden Yards as an Oriole. He will be back with Houston in September. But a lot of people in Birdland are very upset that Trey Mancini is no longer with the Orioles. And with that in mind, from Barstool Sports, we have Eric Arditti. And we have Eric Arditti on the show, A, because we love the guy. B, he's infectious. C, he's very close with Trey Mancini. So with that in mind, Eric, good morning. It's Paul. It's Zach. How are you today?
We're good. How are you guys?
Doing well. We're having a great time putting together a great show today, and we're happy to have you on. I'm glad that you could take a few. Did you end up going out of town?
So we're going out of town a little bit later. We're doing like a little birthday party for my buddy, and then my other friend is having a baby. So we're kind of all over the place, and like down in Waldorf. So it's like a little not quote unquote out of town. It's just a little out of the way.
It's a hike.
I should have said.
Exactly. I wonder if the members of Good Charlotte are back in Waldorf hanging out.
Every time I go down there, I look for him, and I haven't seen him down there yet. But I blast the anthem every time I drive around. So
you should be blasting the anthem regardless.
Well, yeah, I mean, I do that up here anyways, but I'm trying to catch their attention down there.
I understand. Well, good morning, Eric. Thanks for joining us today. You're actually friends with Trey Mancini, so I'm sure that his trade, even though you probably saw it coming, I'm sure it hit you maybe a little bit harder than other people. He was traded to the Astros on Monday for Seth Johnson and Chase McDermott. How emotional was this trade for you?
I'll be honest. I wasn't too emotional about it. Because again, we all kind of knew it was coming.
Right.
I think I would have been more I guess emotional or upset if it had happened at the dead. Like, I'm kind of happy it happened on Monday when it did.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like, if it would have gone to Tuesday and then we're sitting there at 5:30 refreshing and like there's no trade yet, there's no trade. Maybe he's going to stay. I think he's going to stay. And then, at 6:10 or 6:15, it leaks out after, like, oh, by the way, the Orioles traded Trey after everyone, thought he was safe. I think that would have been a more killer one. But no, I mean, I kind of had it. I knew that it was coming, I guess, just like everyone else did. I had spent some time at the ballpark with his fiance, Sarah, the 2 Fridays before, I think. And I had just kind of talked. We talked for like half hour, just being like, hey, like, what do you think's going to happen? And she said, they were very open and honest when I talked to them both. Like, we have no idea what's going to happen. We haven't heard a thing. And I believe them. And she said, we want to stay here. And he echoed the same thing to me. Like, he was like, I love this place. I texted him after the inside the park home run, and he said, and I believe him when he goes, I don't know what's going to happen. I truly don't. But he goes, if that was the way to go out, like, I mean, what a perfect way, And again, everyone said it. It was all over Twitter with Sanzi in the stands on Mo Gabba Day, his last, at bat. I mean, it was unbelievable. And shout out to Josh Lowe's face for being hard enough for the ball to bounce away that far. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely an emotional couple of days. But again, I part of me for some reason, like when it went on Monday, I went, you know what, good. And again, because he went to the Astros,
right.
Which, listen, I know a lot of people are still hung up on the sign stealing and blah blah blah. And I tweeted right away. I said, we're all Astros fans, and I had Orioles fans be like, I'll never root for them. And I go, did you root for Jay Gibbons and Rafael Palmeiro and Brian Roberts and Nelson Cruz? And they said, yeah. I said, well, guess what? They cheated too. So, I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, number one, it didn't affect us.
Right.
Who cares at this point? But I was talking to some people this week where I said, if the Astros win a World Series, I think we should petition to get a banner hung at Camden Yards. This is like a Trey Mancini World Series champion with, like, not an asterisk, but we'll hang it up somewhere.
Well, especially when we send Trey there and he immediately hits 3 homers, including a grand slam in his first 2 starts with the Astros. I mean, the fact that he's only gotten 2 starts after being traded there last Monday kind of blows my mind. But look, 3 hits with the Astros and they're all home runs. You can't beat that. Now, have you had the opportunity? Oh, by the way, I'm so over the whole cheating thing, the whole sign stealing thing, because
I got over it 2 years ago. It's like, yeah, all right, that's fine, whatever.
Right,
It happened.
Yankees fans are like, oh, that should have been our World Series. You all were cheating too. Literally, all the teams in baseball were doing something to get the upper hand on the other team with sign stealing or banging on a trash can or wherever the hell it was. The Yankees were right in the middle of it too. And you can't tell me that they weren't. They were found to be. Same with the Red Sox. So I don't want to hear it. Every team was doing something. If the Astros win a World Series this year and Trey Mancini's on that team, I will be fired up for Trey, 100%.
Absolutely. And again, who knows? Maybe the Orioles could have been cheating. Like we said, I think every team does something. And I'm sure if you ask guys around the league, they will say the same thing. Not everyone is. And I heard someone say, and it was kind of a good, I kind of like this benchmark where back in, 2019 or whatever, when it came out, they said, listen, everyone steals signs. Everyone does it. But when you're putting equipment out to steal it, that makes it different. And I was like, that I agree with.
Right.
But I'm with you when people are like, well, my team never cheats. And it's like, buddy, they probably have. And again, you rooted for cheaters. You cheered these guys. And again, they cheated. So I'm with you. It's like, dude, every team is cheated doing something, whether it's, there could be a billion different things they do, but yeah, I'm with you. It's like Yankees fans, your letter was sealed and then it was unsealed, but again, you guys were cheating as well. So you guys don't have much ground to stand on.
If the Orioles weren't cheating, it was only because there was no point. Like legitimately, there was no point for them to be doing it because they were so bad. What would have been the point in that? Now, have you had an opportunity to talk to Trey since the trade?
Yeah, I texted him, I think Thursday. Because I didn't want to overwhelm him, with everything that had happened on Monday. I gave him a couple days, and of course, then he hit his. I think it was the day that he hit his first home run, so maybe that was Wednesday. And yeah, I just said, hey man, I was like, hey, I wanted to give you some time. Again, just kind of reiterated, like, I know, but like what you meant to Baltimore and the fans and all that stuff. Because like there's a bunch of stuff. I've shared it on my personal Facebook and what you've seen and my Instagram. But he would text me before every season, and my brother has special needs, and he would just say, hey, whenever Alex wants to come out to batting practice, let me know. I'll leave 2 batting practice tickets for you.
That's
He's
awesome.
done stuff like that. Like my dad took a video a couple years ago of him giving my brother a signed ball before one of the games. And again, like just all stuff that was very unprompted. And again, I would tell him, like, I'm not going to put it on Twitter. It's more personal and, just some cool memories that we have between us. But yeah, I texted him and I just said, what you did for my brother and how you treated him, when you would see him and Mo especially. I was just like, I want you to know that the city loves you, the fans love you, the team will, loves you. And, you're an Orioles Hall of Famer, I'm sure. And, I think I ended it with, I'll see you back in here in September and go win that ring in October.
Yeah, I think that stadium is going to be packed when the Astros come to town. For some of the games, maybe not all of them. It really depends on if the Orioles can stay in this thing. We'll get to that here in a second. But Trey coming back with the Astros at the end of September, I think it's going to be a pretty packed house to welcome him back. Now, the return that the Orioles got for him, Seth Johnson, who just had Tommy John surgery, so he'll probably miss just about all of next year, and Chase McDermott, who looks like a back-end reliever to me, which is the fact that they got 2 guys that can help this team at any point. Were you keen on the return, considering Trey is basically a 2-month rental?
Yeah, I think, again, I wasn't diving deep into like, well, he was ranked this with this team and he was ranked this and here was a scouting report. I leave that to the other people, the guys who are really good at it on Twitter. And when I was seeing people be like, hey, that was the number 2 guy in the Rays system, and this guy was, really good with the Astros. And I was thinking, okay, like that seems to be, every article I read or every tweet I saw was very high on the return. And you and I know that God knows how these guys are going to work out. He could get hit by a train tomorrow, and he'll never turn out to be anything. But it's like it seems like they got 2 pretty good, again, pitching prospects for a guy who's likely going to be a 2-month rental there. So I think that did help lessen the blow. If it was like, they got a 17-year-old in the Gulf Coast League, and they got, a 24-year-old guy who hasn't been able to, break a ball or something like that,
Right.
I was very happy with what I was reading because, again, I had no idea who these guys were before Monday around 4:30, but I was very happy with it. And again, it's I guess, we'll see him after he's done with his Tommy John, because I guess he got it down in Dallas right when who's it, Zach Peak got his?
Yeah.
Peak?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
The same
So,
the
yeah,
same
again,
surgeon did both of them on the same day, I think, actually.
I wonder he got that Orioles, or I wonder if he gave the Orioles a discount, like a 2-for-1 or something.
Like a little Costco Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, who knows? They may have it set up like that. But yeah, I think it definitely helped lessen the blow of losing a guy like Trey, where all the return on that seemed to be pretty. People were definitely happy about the return that they got.
Yeah, no, I was surprised, and you kind of alluded to this. Once Trey was traded, for me, it was like, it sucks that Trey's traded, but we've seen this coming for over a year now. Now you're at the point where it's like, all right, the trade has happened. Let's push forward. The Orioles are in a playoff chase now. Is that kind of your mentality?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I get it that the team, it sucked, and you saw the quotes from that Monday in Dallas or in wherever they played at in Texas, and Mountcastle straight up said this sucks, like it sucks, and everyone is thinking the same thing. And then they went out and they played an awesome game, and they smoked the Rangers, and it just, I mean, again, we've seen Trey's chemistry to the team. It was great. I think taking him away, it's not like guys are hanging their head, kicking stuff in the locker room. I don't think going, what are we going to do now? I think that they have a good core of guys, and Trey was part of that core. But again, I think they weren't blindsided by it. I'll say that. It's not like they got the rug taken out from under them and they're sitting in the locker room going, what are we going to do? I think you got guys like Hayes and Mountcastle and Mullins who said, listen, guys, we still got a job to do. And it may have been different if they were 25 games under 500.
Right.
And they went, whatever, we just lost our leader, let's go out and let's play these guys, and whatever happens. I like to think that someone, not made a speech, but kind of said, hey guys, listen, Trey's gone. It sucks. We loved him. We got a job to do. Look, we're X amount of games out right now. Let's keep this thing going. And that's what they've done since that trade happened. So I think that does speak to kind of the core guys they have. Hayes seems like a guy like that who will kind of grab a situation and, really, tell guys to buckle up, or, let's get this going. So I'm very encouraged with how they're playing. And again, it sucks because, and I'll say this, I will be paying attention to Astros games all year long.
Oh, absolutely.
But that doesn't take away from my fandom of the Orioles. Like I'm I got multiple screens, baby. We can watch as mmany games as we need to.
There you go.
So like the Orioles still have a job to do, and like we said, I mean they're playing as well as they have this year. So I while it sucked at the beginning, like you said, there's something to do, and their job's not done, and might as well keep this thing going.
And speaking of that, 55-51, game and a half back of Seattle for the third wild card spot, 2 games back of Tampa Bay in the division, 4 games back of the Blue Jays for the top wild card spot. Look, Eric, they have 56 games left, and 45 of them are against teams that are currently at or above 500. Can they realistically stay in this race?
I think they can. I really do think they can, and I don't know the record of them versus teams, 500 or better, but it seems like they kind of play those guys pretty decently. It's the bottom team, Detroit, and it's Oakland, and it's those teams that they kind of flounder to. Who's the one who just Cincinnati? It's like those are the teams that they kind of not lay down against, but they don't play very well. It seems like they kind of get up for those big series, and we saw that kind of starting 2 years ago, where they'd steal a series from they sweep the Astros. Was that last year when they swept them at home, or 2 years ago?
That was last year.
Yeah, stuff like that. So I don't know. I definitely think they can stay in this. I mean, a big thing, it just depends on injury. And we're all still waiting on Tyler Wells kind of time frame. I know he said yesterday that he felt good, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But barring any injury, I don't see why they can't. Again, I mean, we've kind of held our breath all year going, well, this can't last. They'll win 10 in a row, but they may lose 7 in a row. And it's like, at this point, I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. That letdown may not happen just because of, again, how, they're just so good right now.
Eric, I'll tell you, the 2012 Orioles were 55-51 also after 106 games, and then they went, what was it, 38 and 18 the rest of the way. So, this is an opportunity for the Orioles to kind of say, hey, we're here. These are the teams that we have to get past to get into the playoffs anyway. So this is who we want to play right now, and it's going to be a fun 2 months for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And again, a lot of those teams that they're playing, again, Toronto, Tampa, as I know they only have 3 or 4 against the Yankees left. It's like those are guys in your division. So again, you know them. Like you're going to have to play them regardless. And then again, I know they have 6 or 7 against the Astros. And then they have 15 against the Blue Jays, I think. But it's 15. Like, again, we'll talk about it, I'm sure, a lot in the offseason. No team is going to benefit more from this schedule change than the Orioles. So I'm pretty pumped about that for next year. But again, they got to play these guys anyway. Why not have it be in a high leverage situation? Let's see what Toronto can do. They've had some turmoil this year. They fired a manager. They've had a lot of stuff going on. So bring it. I mean, again, the Orioles are playing with house money. If they finish 5 games under 500 this year, I don't think anyone's going to be like, man, this season sucked. What a downer. It's like, no, you know what? Again, everyone is having a lot of fun. You're seeing it. I'm seeing it. Zach's seeing it. I mean, I got buddies who never tuned into baseball, and I'm getting texts after 1-0 games going, that was a hell of a win. Like, this bullpen is unreal. And it's like, yeah, you know what? And again, all the similarities to that 2012 team, because that 2012 team did the exact same thing. It brought back a lot of the people who had kind of soured on them and tuned out on them. So I'm excited, like you said, for the next, 50 games left, 55 games, something like that. It's going to be it'll be exciting. Yeah,
it feels good to be an Orioles fan for the first time in a long time. Eric, thank you so much. I do want to get you back on the show here in the not too distant future when we have a little bit more time, because I do want to talk to you about Mike Elias's comments about liftoff from here, but we'll save that for another day. Have a great weekend, all right? Thank you so much, man.
Appreciate you guys having me. We'll talk soon.
All right, take care. That was Eric Arditti from Barstool Sports. Maybe the number one Orioles fan joining us.
I think we got to give him that distinction. Yeah, I think so.
Like, I put myself up there. That dude is just, he's an Orioles
and he
fan
knows the guys too, so.
To his core. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. We're going to catch our second break after Kevin Brown, or after, no, you know what? Yeah. We're going to catch our second break in about 10 minutes. For right now, we're going to move into Orioles banter because it's kind of fitting, because we just made that comparison to the 2012 Orioles. And the 2012 Orioles were 55-51 after a loss to Tampa Bay on August 3rd. Jack. They had 28 more games remaining versus winning teams, including a bunch against the Yankees. And we remember how back and forth they were. And then they played in that ALDS. And I'm still, to this day, your original podcast was Nate hit the foul pole because he hit the freaking foul pole.
He did. He sure did.
And the Orioles would have won that game. They would have gone on to the ALCS against the Tigers, and then all bets are off at that point, right? They went 38-18 in their final 56 games to finish the year 93-69 and make it into the wild card game. 2022 Orioles had the same record, 55-51 after their 1-0 victory over Pittsburgh last night. It was the Orioles' 4th 1-0 victory of the year, which is tops in all of Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. It was their 10th shutout. 10 shutouts this year, which I think is their most since 1983.
That's unbelievable.
10, or maybe, no, I'm sorry. It's their most 1-0 victories since 1983. Okay. But 10 shutouts is pretty damn impressive.
It's really impressive.
10.
I mean, especially when you put it in the context of what they were supposed to be coming into this year. I mean, it changes everything, really.
Historically bad pitching staff last year. And now this year, they have 10 freaking shutouts and 4 1-0 victories.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't really dug into it yet, but I wonder how the pitching staff as a whole compares to other years in Orioles history, where this one would rank. When you look at team ERA, I mean, I would assume it's towards the back, but it's not that far down.
I Probably in the middle.
Okay.
I mean, because you also have to think about how good the Orioles pitching staffs were from 1966 to 1983.
They certainly do not have 4 20-game winners this year, but they do have a formidable pitching staff, at least. That's what I'm going to call it, formidable.
Their bullpen ranks up there.
It does.
Their bullpen is up there. The reason, one of the main reasons that the 2012 to 2016 Orioles were so good is because their bullpen was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And if you look at the 2012 Orioles, I think they had 6 relievers with an ERA sub 3.
Yeah, probably right.
And this team has 3 relievers with an ERA sub 2.
Yeah.
Right?
It's incredible.
The difference here is, again, we said that the 2012 Orioles had 28 more games versus winning teams.
Yeah.
The Orioles, 56 games left this year, 45 against winning teams. 45, including 15 against Toronto.
It's going to be like Toronto every 3 series at
oh
this
my
point.
gosh.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of Toronto.
I look at this team, and can they play competitively the rest of the year?
Sure.
Do I think they can finish above 500, at or above 500? I absolutely do. Can they get into the playoffs? I don't know. You're playing a lot of teams that are in front of you, or that are right there with you or in front of you. You've got Cleveland coming up. You've got 7 against the Astros. You've got to play
Astros will be tough.
15 against the Blue Jays. I think you have 6 left against the Rays. Boston, look, they're 500. They're kind of headed in the wrong direction, but they're not going to lie down for anybody.
They're not an easy win. I mean, I don't walk into Boston like I walk into Pittsburgh and say, okay, this is going to be, this is going to be at least 2 out of 3.
Right. And you've also still got to play the Chicago White Sox, right? So you have some games in there that are winnable. You got games against the Cubs, games against the Tigers, games against the Nationals. But you got to play the teams that are directly in front of you or directly behind you in the wild card race the rest of the way. And I look at this team, and I'm sorry, and I hate to harp on it, but I'm going to. You're not going to win very many ball games that feature Brett Phillips and Rougned Odor in the lineup.
Right.
It's just not going to happen, right?
You can't pair the 2 in the same lineup, or McKenna at that.
I look at this team, and McKenna has an opportunity. He's a great 4th outfielder, in my opinion.
He's perfect 4th outfielder.
He hit a 432-foot home run the other day.
He did.
It was a home run. Would it dong on Twitter? Gone in all 30 ballparks. It was a shot, and he had that kind of power down in AAA, and he was a good hitter down in AAA. McKenna, I'm okay with him being on this team and getting a couple of starts a week, right? Brett Phillips, infectious personality. If you want to hire him to go hang out with the Oriole bird every home game, cool. That's awesome. I don't want him playing for the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah,
I just don't. And unless his only role is a pinch runner late in ball games and a defensive replacement. I don't think he should be starting any games for the Orioles.
But that's just the problem, because that's what Ryan McKenna does.
Right.
And I've said it probably 30 times already today, but you don't need 2 of them. You just don't. And the good teams, if you look at them, how many good teams have 2 outfielders on their bench who frankly can't hit at all? I don't think you're going to find that many. You're going to have one, of course. You're going to have one, because your 4th outfielder, your utility outfielder, if I can say the word correctly, is going to be a guy who's going to be on the lighter hitting side. But you don't have 2 of them on the same roster. It just doesn't happen for winning teams. So this move, I said it on to a few friends, that this is probably the most confusing and worst move Mike Elias has made in his tenure in Baltimore. I would say that. I don't get it. And then even when they asked him about it, Mike Elias said, we just like his energy, which I don't think, frankly, is a good enough explanation on why Brett Phillips is in an Orioles uniform.
Well, and I look at that, and I feel like the move was made almost to say, hey, we know what Trey meant to this ball club. Let's bring in somebody else who has that kind of personality. But I just...
You could have at least tried to claim him off waivers, right? Why have to even trade for him? That makes it even worse.
Yeah. RIP cash consideration. No, but look, this is a team where if you legitimately think that you can stay in this, you have to make a couple of moves within your organization.
Yeah.
And the first move I'm making on Monday is calling up Gunnar Henderson. I'm calling up Gunnar Henderson, and I'm DFAing Rougned Odor. Rougned Odor's 4 for his last 35. He's got a 193 batting average. Do you have his numbers in front of you?
No, I don't. I don't have his numbers. But, I mean, they've been, for the past 2 months or so, or really the past month, they've been incredibly terrible.
Well, they've been incredibly terrible the entire year. He only has one. He only has 1 month this year where he's hit above 200.
There was a point in May or June, though, where he wasn't so awful.
Yeah, in June he still only hit 208.
Not good.
Okay, but for the year, Rougned Odor
Yeah.
is slashing 193, 253, 365 with an OPS of 618.
And I could live with the 193 if his on-base percentage was like 315 even. But 253, and then you're looking at only a slugging percentage of 365 for a guy who's supposed to be, one of the better power hitters on this roster. It's just not good across the board. It's not good across the board.
When's his last home run?
I can't remember that.
I think his
don't
last
know.
home run was on July 3rd.
Was it one of the walk-off ones that he
No,
hit?
it wasn't a walk-off
Okay.
homer. He hasn't hit a walk-off homer since May.
Okay.
It was on July 3rd. It gave the Orioles a 1-0 lead. It was a ball game that they won. It was that game against the final game against the Twins. They should have swept that series. It was a final.
Okay.
I remember I was in my buddy's pool and we were listening to the game
Okay.
and they were talking about Odor had homered.
Okay.
And that was his last home run. He hasn't homered in over a month, just like Ryan Mountcastle. But Ryan Mountcastle's a better hitter, a better player.
Sure.
And Gunnar Henderson has nothing left to prove to me in the minor leagues. Again, we mentioned it only once in his AAA time this year has he gone back-to-back games without a hit.
Yeah.
He's hitting close to 300. His on-base percentage is close to 400. His OPS is close to 1,000. And he's got 17 home runs this year. This is a guy that deserves to be in Baltimore. You can play him at third base. You can play Ramon Arias at second base, which is his more natural position anyway. You leave Mateo at shortstop. You can DH or play in the outfield with Taron Vavra. That's another. Now you have 3 guys in your lineup who legitimately take professional at bats. Because even if Gunnar comes up and hits, say he hits 200, which I don't think he's going to do, but say he hits 200, he's still going to get on base at a 350 clip.
Okay. Yeah.
You have to have guys in your lineup that can take professional bats and get on base, that can play good defense and actually help your team win.
If I were a betting man, I'd say Gunnar Henderson appears for the first time in May of 23. But I still am. I'm still. It's not that I'm against Gunnar Henderson being here right now. I'm not against it because I do agree with you that he's proved everything really he had to prove. I agree with you there. I just look at it from the Orioles' perspective, and I see them not doing it. If that makes sense.
Well, but I
see it as unlikely.
And here's the thing, and I get it. It's different regimes, right?
Sure.
But if Mike Elias says it's liftoff from here, our window is open for championship baseball for the next decade, right? So you're saying this is just a jumping off point and it's only up from here.
Mm-hmm.
The 2012 Orioles, they had 14 consecutive losing seasons leading into that 2012 season, okay? They go 93-69. What did they do in August? They called up Manny Machado.
Mm-hmm.
They get Joe Saunders into their rotation. They trade for Jim Thome because it was in August. It was after the trade deadline, but there's like kind of like an unwritten rule between the GMs that if somebody makes a trade, you don't claim somebody who's
Right.
passing through waivers, right? You don't do it. They made moves to make their team better so they can make a playoff push,
Right.
because they thought that their window was open. If the Orioles if Mike Elias believes that their window is open, and now you have incentive to have rookies on your opening day roster because you get an extra comp pick if they don't win Rookie of the Year, if they don't finish top 2 in Rookie of the Year. And that's a betting man's probably going to take that every time. So Gunnar Henderson's going to be here on opening day next year. This doesn't affect his service clock this year. He's not going to, I don't think he accrues enough. Maybe he does.
I believe he would.
No, he would, because you only need to play
Yeah.
15. You only need to be
Yeah.
on the roster for 15 days. But he doesn't lose rookie status, right?
No, he doesn't. He does not lose rookie status. Yeah.
So I look at this and I say, why would you not call up Gunnar Henderson? Gunnar Henderson makes your team better, and you don't have to trade anything to have him.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do anything but simply DFA a bad baseball player to add him to the roster and bring him up. It makes too much sense. It makes too much sense. If Mike Elias really is saying it's liftoff from here and our decade-long championship run, that window is open now, why would you not call up the best players to have on your team?
Frankly, I don't have an answer for you. I don't.
There is no answer.
I don't have an answer for you. But all I will say is that Mike Elias, if I'm him right now, and I have his thoughts going through my head, then I'm probably not doing it yet. I
But
don't.
why? What is his?
I don't know.
What would
You'd
be
have
the
to ask
rationale?
him. You'd have to ask him.
But if you're Mike Elias and you
if
have
I'm
his
Mike
thoughts,
Elias,
What is the rationale?
Given the fact that he's 21 years old and that you have, Jordan Westburg, who, yes, he's not playing as well, but he's a little bit older and has more experience. He has that college experience. I think Westburg at this moment makes more sense, and I think Gunnar Henderson, you just don't. Okay, 21-year-old, it's a bit young. It's just a bit young.
I mean, Juan Soto was playing in the World Series at 20.
He was.
Okay, Ronald Acuna and Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado were playing in the Major Leagues in 19. Same thing with Bryce Harper. Now, I'm not saying that Gunnar Henderson is Bryce Harper or Fernando Tatis, but he's damn good. Keith Laws has rated him as his number 2 prospect in all of baseball.
I think Mike Elias has to be more sure that the Orioles are actually competing this year. That's my entire point here. He's 21. So the fact that you can have a 22-year-old baseball player who comes in with no service time at all next year is a pretty exciting thing.
It's a chicken or the egg situation then. Because either you're competing and Gunnar Henderson helps put you over the top, or you're waiting to see if you're going to compete. The Orioles are 16 games above 500 since June 11th. What more do you're talking 2 months of baseball. What more do you need to see from your team?
It's a good question. It's a good question.
And I want to see if we're really competing. You want to see if they're going to fall off, but if you call them up now, maybe they don't fall off. So to me, it just makes now. And we are so behind. We got to get Kevin Brown on the line here in a minute, but we have to take a break first. Do you think that there's a chance that they call up Jordan Westburg?
Yes, I do.
I
absolutely
think that there's a
chance.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
We're going to talk about this at the end of the show because this is too it's too much fun, and B, it's too important to only give 10 minutes to. We got to catch our final break. I'm going to text Kevin Brown, tell him we're calling. We just hit a break and we're calling him soon. We're going to come back. I just want to remind you that today's show is brought to you by the latest edition of Press Box, which is available now, and it's our very first salute to coaches issue. On the cover, we recognize Ravens coach John Harbaugh ahead of his 15th season, and inside, tributes to Navy football coach Ken Niumatalolo, UMBC soccer coach Pete Karinji, Maryland soccer coach Sasha Sarofsky, and field hockey coach Missy Maharg, Mount St. Joe basketball coach Pat Clatchy, and Poly basketball coach Kendall Peace. We also honor recently retired Johns Hopkins lacrosse coach Janine Tucker and Calvert Hall baseball coach Lou Eckerl. The athletes whose lives these coaches have impacted offer insights on what makes them special and why they've stood the test of time. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com. Kevin Brown next. This is the Bat Around.
Visit Howard County presents the 2022 Major League Quidditch Championship, a Harry Potter-inspired, real-life, full-contact, mixed-gender, 12-team Quidditch tournament happening at Troy Park in Elkridge, August 20th through the 22nd. For tickets and more information, go to visithowardcounty.com. Maryland, be open for it.
Hey Birdland, join in on the fun and celebrate the 30th anniversary of Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Saturday, August 6th, as the O's take on the Pittsburgh Pirates at 5:05. The first 15,000 fans 15 and over will receive a 30th anniversary Oriole Park t-shirt. Then stay post-game for the Birdland Summer Music Series presented by Miller Lite I Love the 90s concert, featuring Drew Hill with a special performance by Cisco and Smash Mouth. Tickets start as low as $15 at Orioles.com/tickets.
Summer is in full swing, and so is the summer seasonal menu at Glory Days Grill. Start with the opener, flash-fried pork belly with their popular Korean No. 2 sauce. And try their South Carolina barbecue chicken, or backed by popular demand, the lobster roll with grilled corn. Also try the irresistible crab and lobster fries, or the very berry salad with chicken. And for dessert, the Cracker Jack sundae with a waffle, ice cream, and Cracker Jacks. This menu will be gone. Find out more and get your order in at glorydaysgrill.com. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and it's our very first Salute the Coaches issue. On the cover, we recognize Ravens coach John Harbaugh ahead of his 15th season. Also inside, find tributes to Navy football coach Ken Niumatalolo, UMBC soccer coach Pete Caringi, Maryland soccer coach Sasho Sorovsky, and field hockey coach Missy Maharg, Mount St. Joe basketball coach Pat Clatchy, and Poly basketball coach Kendall Peace. We also honor recently retired Johns Hopkins lacrosse coach Janine Tucker and Calvert Hall baseball coach Lou Eckerl, the athletes whose lives these coaches have impacted, offering insights on what makes them special and why they've stood the test of time. Pressbox is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows that the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn, over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
All right, welcome back to the Batter Round, coming to you live from our new Towson studios here in Towson. A beautiful Saturday here. On the line now from the Orioles television and radio networks, the broadcaster extraordinaire who we are so happy is now working a full-time schedule for the Orioles. He is Kevin Brown, and he's live with us on the Batter Round. Kevin, it's Paul. It's Zach. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hang on one second. You're a little low. Zach, what's going on over there?
I do not know.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we got you now.
We do now.
We got you now. Sorry about that, Kevin. And also, we are sorry that we ran a little bit long. I know that you have a limited time with us, so we're going to keep things a little bit shorter with you today. But good morning. How are you?
I have 60 seconds. 59, 58, 57.
All right. Should Gunnar Henderson be on the Orioles? Go.
I got time. I'm good.
All right. Kevin, how remarkable has this season been?
Extremely remarkable, extraordinarily remarkable, remarkably remarkable. I don't know if I'm painting a great word picture here, but yeah, look, no. Anybody that tells you they saw this coming is lying.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody saw this coming outside of the clubhouse. Nobody saw this coming inside the clubhouse. The hope was that it would be a season where there would be a lot of visible individual signs of progress and maybe some collective signs of progress, but nobody saw this bullpen coming. That's the biggest takeaway for me. I think the offense has been probably about what was expected. To be honest, the thing that excited me most coming into the season was this fairly young lineup. And I'd say by and large it's been okay. It hasn't been an overwhelming offensive year. The only player that I'd consider is overwhelming offensively in a way is Adley Rutschman's overwhelming with his patience and with his ability to hit doubles.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought if this team surprised people, they would surprise people by winning some higher scoring games. That's been the shocking thing for me is really I look back to the beginning of the year and I say this is a team that should score some more runs than last year. They really haven't.
Yeah.
But they're just pitching brilliantly, and I continue to wonder every week if this is going to be the week where the bullpen starts to break down a little bit, and every week is a week where the bullpen seemingly holds up. So I hope it could continue. I really do. And we're past the 100-game mark now. I think we're out of the realm of small sample size and into the realm of this is a legitimately good team. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with this month with Toronto and Tampa and Boston and Toronto again. It's going to be hard, but this is not a fluke at this point. Whether the team makes the postseason or not, I think 106 games, you have to say, and I will say, this is no longer a fluke.
Yeah, no, you can't say it's a fluke. And then I saw this last night. The Orioles won their Major League leading fourth 1-0 game last night. It's 10 shutouts for the team on the season. That's, like you said, that's got to be the most impressive thing. When you look at how historically bad this team was from a pitching perspective last year, and then they come out this year and they have 10 shutouts and 4 1-0 victories. Like, it's mind-boggling, Kevin. How are they doing this with a staff that seems pretty similar to last year, with the exception of a couple of guys removed from a few guys now, more than a couple, but from the beginning of the season, a couple of guys removed from the bullpen.
Well, certainly part of it has to go to those new guys in the bullpen. I think back to the opening series of the year when Felix Bautista's Major League debut came in the second inning of the game, and now he's pitching in the ninth inning and the eighth inning of most games. Perez was a waiver claim that the Cincinnati Reds didn't have space for. I mean, the Cincinnati Reds, who I know beat the Orioles 2-3, but have been one of the worst teams in baseball this year and have had the worst bullpen in baseball, they couldn't find space for him. It takes some time. Sometimes, nobody has patience anymore in the world, it seems, but Chris Holt, Darren Holmes, the organizational pitching philosophy, Ryan Klimek, who's the director of pitching, I think there's a good chance that if 2020 had been a quote-unquote normal year, if it was a 162-game season, it wasn't pandemic-shortened, I think there's a good chance you would have seen some of these performances and progressions more so last year. I just think the Orioles were hurt more than most because of where they were developmentally in the system by 2020. And I think it's just taken a little bit longer. In 2019, you could look ahead 3 years and say, well, Keegan Aiken and Dean Kramer should be effective major league pieces based on their minor league trajectory, and that would have been a reasonable take. But going into this year, you would have thought, well, those guys are hopeless, right? I mean, last year they didn't perform. They really couldn't throw strikes. I just think it's taken a little bit longer. I think the organizational philosophy, the emphasis on strike throwing, on certain techniques, I think that stuff took a little bit longer to get into effect because 2020 was the short year and because the team is so young. So I think if you were to ask Mike Elias back in the winter of 2018 when he took over the job what the progression would be and if the team would be where it is now, he'd say, I think they will be where they are now. But I think the way it's gone because of that 2020 season, I just feel like that stunted the progression for a little bit longer. And understandably, there were a lot of questions coming into this year about a lot of those specific pitchers. And I just think an extra off season, an extra spring training, like that stuff matters. And it's a little bit intangible sometimes as to when it's going to hit. But I trace it back to that. I think the fact that the Orioles were a little bit behind last year and seem a little bit ahead this year, probably there's a middle ground somewhere in between there where if we had a normal reality for 3 years, I think the O's would have gotten here. But the fact that it seems like it's such a jump out of nowhere, I just caution folks, there was a lot of work put in behind the scenes, and sometimes that stuff just takes a little bit of time to bubble up.
Right, and if I may correct myself, I misspoke a little bit. There's a lot of turnover that's happened from last year to this year. Since March, the Orioles have traded Jorge Lopez, Paul Fry, Cole Sulser, and Tanner Scott. So it's not nearly the same bullpen that it was last year. But I guess my overall point was you have guys like Dean Kramer and Spencer Watkins who have ERAs sub-4 this year who were getting lit up last year, and you look at that rotation, and a lot of this has to be on Chris Holt and that analytics team, like you said, and it's just a natural progression where maybe we didn't see this coming, but they were bound to improve a great deal, correct?
No doubt. And the other thing I'll say is the upgraded catcher can't be overstated.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, Adley, we all know. Adley is maybe as good as any catcher in Major League Baseball right now. I don't say that lightly. I think with everything he does, calling a game defensively, his arm, his bat, his eye. But I know that people are frustrated with Robinson Chirinos' bat. I get it. He's at a well below league average offensive year, and his pitch framing numbers are not great either. So he seems like a strange guy to praise maybe, but I can tell you the attitude he has, the way he studies teams and opposing lineups, the rapport he has with a young pitching staff, there's probably no number that will indicate his value. I know his WAR will not look good at the end of the year, and the Orioles obviously wanted him to hit more, no question. But having somebody like that who's been through the league, who knows how to study, who knows how to prepare a game plan, I mean, the Orioles just didn't have that. They just didn't have that kind of experience. They didn't have that kind of knowledge. They didn't have that kind of energy from the catching spot the last few years.
Right.
So he had that, and now Adley, who also is a young catcher, like some of the other Orioles have been, his work ethic, his catching brain, his skill set, it's just different. It's totally different. So I can't emphasize enough what those two have meant and how much of a difference that's been from the last couple of years.
Kevin, I will tell you, every game that I watch that Adley Rutschman plays in, I find myself saying at some point, this kid is just so damn good at baseball. Do you find yourself thinking that about Adley and other players on this team on a nightly basis? You're watching them play and you're just like, man, they're just really good.
I am giddy every time I watch him. I really am, whether it's a double or whether it's the way he approaches pitches and the way he lays off some really tough sliders, change-ups, or the way he frames the ball behind the plate, or the way he blocks a ball. He's just good at everything. He really is. I mean, he stole a base last night, for God's sake.
And it wasn't close.
No, he's special. He really is special. Getting to watch him on a daily basis has been a truly special experience. This is such a good rookie class, and Bobby Witt made the Royals out of spring training, and Julio Rodriguez made the Mariners out of spring training, and Adley's banged up, and he took some time to get up, and I understand there were some frustrations, but I'm ready to put him up against literally any rookie in the class. I've been blown away by Bobby Witt. I've been so impressed by Julio Rodriguez. This 2019 draft class, I think, will go down as an all-timer. Alek Manoah was in the first round, George Kirby, Riley Green. I will stake my claim for Adley having as strong a career as any of them. I just am delighted to watch him on a baseball field every day. He's just got a heightened sense of the game, the way he recognizes pitches. It's not like he takes a tough slider because he barely holds up on a swing. He just watches it go through the zone and just spits on it. I'm just pretty mesmerized, honestly. It's mesmerizing watching the way he looks at pitches. And it's scary to think of what happens when some of these doubles start turning into home runs, because that really is the next step for him. Once he becomes a more consistent home run hitter rather than a doubles hitter, and then he's at the top of the game.
Yeah, you look at Manny Machado in 2013. He had 52 doubles and 14 home runs. And then he has knee injuries to both knees. He misses the large bulk of 2014, comes out in 2015, and he hits 35 home runs. And that's what happens. You hit a ton of doubles, you get strength, you get better pitch recognition, you learn how to hit at the major league level, and those doubles start turning into home runs. And I had the exact same thought, Kevin, is that it's going to be scary when those doubles start going over the fence for him. Now, what I notice about Adley Rutschman, like you said, it's not like he's having check swings. He's spitting on these pitches. He takes professional at-bats. Terrin Vavra, the thing I've noticed about him is he also takes professional at-bats. And look, it's a small sample size. He's 6 for 13 since getting the call-up. He has 5 walks. He goes up there looking like he has a plan and like he's not going to deviate from that plan. The one time I saw him take a bad swing, the next pitch he lined into the gap for an RBI double. I see professional at-bats, not just from Rutschman, but also from Terrin Vavra. What have you seen from Vavra, and is he making a claim to get more playing time here?
I think he will. I think we're going to see him in the field more. I think he's going to start playing some second a little bit more. I think he's maybe here and there going to get a corner outfield spot depending on matchups. I really do like his approach. I don't know if he'll ever be a power hitter. He may not. He may be a bottom of the lineup hitter on a good team that sees the outfielders play way in, but is going to get his base hits, is going to get his walks, is going to wear you out in terms of pitches per plate appearance. He's an attractive bat to have from the left side. He's got a little bit of speed. He can go the other way. I think he's a player. I don't know what the future holds because the Orioles have such a talented infield in AAA and AA. Obviously, Gunnar, Jordan Westburg, Connor Norby's been awesome at Bowie, Kobe Mayo. I don't know. Maybe he's a starting second baseman. Maybe he is a super utility guy. These things tend to sort themselves out with trades and injuries and things in the future. I think he's a big leaguer. I think he has a big league approach. I think anybody who has that keen of an eye has a real chance. And I'd love to see him hit for a little bit of power. I don't think he'll be a big slugging percentage guy. I don't think he'll be a big extra base hit guy. I don't see that in his approach at this point. But, yeah, I think there's a spot on the team at the very worst for a really interesting bench piece and a guy who can play a couple of different positions because his at-bats are so good. And there's a reason he hit fifth yesterday. It's because Brandon Hyde wanted to break up some of the freer swingers on the team, wanted to get somebody who sees some more pitches in the middle of the lineup. He might have hit fifth again today. I don't know. Adley kind of came from nowhere to hit second after the All-Star break, and it was a little bit of a surprise to us, but it's worked out brilliantly. I think Taron Bobber's probably going to keep hitting in the 5 or 6 areas.
Yeah, and you look at it, he's been DHing in a good bit of his starts. I think in every start he's been DHing. And you lose Trey Mancini. You trade him to the Astros, and there goes your DH. And now Vavra comes in, and he's getting on base at like a 600 clip at this point. So does that soften the blow at all from losing Trey? And how big of an impact does it have on this team inside that clubhouse to have traded away Trey Mancini?
You know, I think a big impact, but also, like in a weird way, this team is so young that I just feel like it's a team of guys that are used to players going up and down the last couple of years. They're used to seeing lots of transactions. I mean, Trey was a beloved figure in that clubhouse. So was Jorge Lopez. They're wonderful people. It's not a facade. What you all see, they are great guys. The Orioles are going to miss them. But the clubhouse is so tight knit, and like the experienced players, the Chirinoses, the Lyles, the Odors of the world, all right, they've been on teams where guys get traded and you change midseason. They've been traded. They know how to deal with this kind of thing. And the young players, it's almost like they don't know any better. I just feel like this is a group that is so together and is, in a way, so maybe blissfully naive in some circumstances.
Sure.
Like these are big deal moves, but you go out and play, and look, if Cedric Mullins doesn't hit a leadoff home run in the first game after the trade in Texas, who knows what happens? That may be one of the at-bats of the year, because if he goes down and the Orioles come out flat and they don't score in the first couple of innings, who knows? But it almost felt like when Mullins hit that home run, the first batter after the trade, there was a sense of the dugout going, oh, we're okay. We still have players. We still love the game. We're still going to play with energy and passion, and I don't know. That may be one of the at-bats that turns the whole thing around, but I just think this is a team that in some cases knows that this is the way the business works, and in some cases with all the young players almost doesn't know any better, and that can be a good thing.
Kevin, I think we're seeing now that Brett Phillips is really the roster replacement for Trey Mancini. But after the Mancini trade originally, Yusniel Diaz got his first cup of coffee with the Orioles and only had one at-bat, struck out, unfortunately. But how much do you expect to see Yusniel Diaz? Do you think he could be a piece for the Orioles down the line, or do you think that just kind of a cup of coffee and maybe he's on the way out in the next few months when the roster starts to make some changes?
Yeah, I think you would need a pretty big couple of months here.
Yeah.
I think it was just a situation where you had a 40-man roster player and a spot available, and it was easier to recall him maybe than add somebody else to a major league contract. The Orioles probably had a sense of the Brett Phillips move that they wanted to add an extra outfielder. So I know people wanted to see Kyle Stowers. I want to see Kyle Stowers. But if you add Kyle Stowers in Texas and then the Phillips move happens, then what do? You have to DFA somebody else. So I think it was just the easy move at the time. Mike Elias said it a couple of days ago. It doesn't really feel like Diaz has graduated AAA. It just needed an extra piece at the time.
Right.
I'd love to see him have a big 2 months. Everybody would, but you guys are right. There's a roster crunch coming. Stowers is going to be up soon. Next year, maybe Colton Cowser. Heston Kjerstad has had a great minor league year. Maybe next year, maybe the year after that. There's just a lot of outfielders that are around. Hayes and Mullins aren't going anywhere. I know Saad Tandir will be up before them contractually, but I don't think he's going anywhere for a little while. McKenna's been such a great piece off the bench. Now Phillips is here. Yusniel Diaz just hasn't stayed healthy. And to get consistent playing time, you got to be on the field. Obvious stuff. But this is such a deep outfield system, and he has had so little opportunity because of health that I would think he would need a huge couple of months in Norfolk. But I think if there's a long-term outfielder and somebody who's going to come up middle of the month, beginning of September, when the rosters expand, I think it'll be Stowers based on what he's done. And I think with Diaz, it's simply just a matter of they needed to make an easy move in terms of the 40-man. But Mike Elias saying he hasn't graduated AAA yet. That tells me the pressure is really on for these next 2 months. Hopefully he can just stay healthy, period. But if not, the Orioles are going to have to add some players to the 40-man this offseason. I think they'll need to add Seth Johnson. I read that in the Tampa Bay Houston trade with Mancini, so he'll need to take a roster spot. Obviously, there are a few more key minor leaguers that'll need to get added on there. So, yeah, Yusniel might be playing for his 40-man status these next couple of months. I'd be surprised if he's not right on the cut line.
Yeah, he had a couple of hits and a home run last night, so that's a good start for him. For me, with Yusniel, the writing's on the wall. I think that there are plenty of guys who have already passed him in this organization. Now, Kevin, Mike Elias did say in a lengthy statement the other day that it's liftoff from here, that the window is now open for this decade-long championship type of run, and the reinforcements are coming from the minors over the final 2 months. I've been going back and forth with my good co-host Zach over here that I think Gunnar Henderson should be on this team sooner rather than later. Do you think that we see a guy like a Gunnar Henderson or a Jordan Westburg at any point this year, or is it more so like the guys you mentioned, like a Kyle Stowers moving forward?
I would anticipate we'll see Stowers at some point. I think like you, like everyone, would love to see Gunnar Henderson in the big leagues this year. My suspicion, and I really know nothing, my suspicion is that Westburg would be more likely because Westburg is just a more seasoned player, having been a college bat. And I think they want Jorge Mateo to finish out the season at shortstop and see what he can do the way he's hit the last couple weeks. Now, if Gunnar Henderson's ready, you call him up and you say he's going to play, whether Jorge Mateo is hitting or not. But I think Henderson, to me, is more likely an opening day 2023 candidate. Maybe the Orioles get to September and they're tied for the wild card and they say, you know what, this is the boost we need. But 40-man roster spots are precious. I know they've had to make some tough decisions in terms of players they designate for assignment this year already. I think in the Orioles' view, and it's a reasonable view, there's nothing wrong with giving Gunnar another month or so of AAA seasoning. He did have a little bit of a slower stretch for a while. Looks like he's come out of it in the past week. But to me, Westburg, who's a more seasoned player, more experienced, he would be the more likely guy, I think, to come up in September. But I wouldn't be shocked if it's neither, again, just because neither's on the 40-man roster.
Sure.
But I think Westburg, in their view, with his experience, may be the next guy up. Look, it'd be great. It'd be awesome to see Gunnar Henderson come up September 1st and help jolt this team. But long-term view, service time implications, again, the global view that Mike Elias talks about, I don't think it's likely. It will be fun to be proven wrong, but I think it's more likely to see Westburg. Stowers, I would suspect, we're very likely to see because he's already had the Major League cup of coffee and because he's been in AAA the whole season and he's really excelled. So I think we'll see Stowers at some point. And I would say Westburg more likely than Henderson. And the DL Hall's probably the likeliest of them all being on the 40-man right now.
Right.
But I'd say Stowers and Hall, I'd be surprised if they're not here. Westburg could go either way. Henderson probably would surprise me a little bit more than the other three.
Were you one of the people that fell for the fake Orioles account the other day that said that?
No, I only heard about it after it happened. So I don't have Twitter notifications turned on my phone. I have not done that for the last 3.5 years, which has helped save whatever semblance of my sanity there is left. So, no, I didn't have that raging across my phone. Quite thankfully, I might add. I just, the day I turned Twitter notifications off of my phone was in February of 2019. It was the day that the Orioles officially announced that I was joining the broadcast team, which is total coincidence. I just wanted to turn my notifications off because I felt like I was losing my mind. And And then that happened to be the day they released it. And I went on Twitter that night, and I had I don't know how many hundreds of notifications, and I thought, I'm never ever turning these back on again. So I am usually the last person to find things out, which is not always great professionally, but it's good for my sanity.
Hey, they say ignorance is bliss, right? So
That's right.
I totally get that. I believed it for about 5.5 seconds until I saw the name on the Twitter handle. It was the same Twitter handle that had posted something claiming to be John Heyman about the Orioles listening on Mullins, Hayes, and Mateo. So I squashed that pretty quickly for myself. Final question for you, Kevin. I really appreciate you taking an extended period of time for us today. How much fun are you having this year?
More fun than I've ever had calling baseball, that's for sure. I would say the only year that compared to this for me, I did 7 years of minor league baseball. I was with the AAA team in Syracuse, the Nationals AAA affiliate at the time, now the Mets. And 6 of my 7 years, the team was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's April 17th and you're eliminated bad. And the 1 year they were really good was in 2014. Steven Souza Jr. was the International League MVP that year. And they just had this great alchemy of Nationals prospects and veterans who had really good AAA years, and they had the best record in the league and hosted a playoff game in Syracuse for the first time in 25 years. And that was a real thrill for me because it was out of nowhere, and it was in a city that was dying for a good baseball team and hadn't had one for a while. So there are some similarities there, but look, ultimately, as much as I enjoyed my time there, AAA bus rides and major league charters, it's a little bit of a different world.
Yeah.
So to see this city kind of light up and to hear from people in person and on Twitter and at the game and to get a sense of the buzz has been special. I was told when I took the job in 2019 that Baltimore feels like a real Ravens town right now because the Ravens have been so consistently good for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But to just wait till the Orioles get good again and to see what kind of a life there is into the city. And it feels like for the first time in my 4 years here, I'm really seeing that energy spring to life. So last night, nearly a 2-hour rain delay, still a really good crowd showed up. Upper deck was pretty jammed in a couple of sections, even at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. It's just fun. It's fun every night, and the games are fun and close. And in a way, it's almost more fun than if the Orioles were winning by 6. Brandon Hyde would be happier if they won by 6. He wouldn't have to use his bullpen so much. But every night is close and tight and exciting, and there are interesting decisions strategically in terms of bullpen usage, in terms of matchups, in terms of pinch hitting or pinch running. That makes it fun for me too. And, you know, to top it all off, I get to do it with Jim Palmer and Ben McDonald, who make every night fun, whether you're losing or winning 8-0. So, yeah, I hope it comes across to people. I am just having an absolute blast.
Kevin, you're constantly posting how much fun you're having on Twitter. We hear it in your broadcasts. It definitely comes across. I'll tell you, man, I can't wait for you to experience a playoff atmosphere in Baltimore when they can actually open up the left field upper reserve and they can fill the entire ballpark. I'm telling you, man, there is absolutely nothing like it. Hopefully the next time we talk to you, you'll be preparing to call some playoff baseball games for the Orioles, and hopefully that's in the next month or so. Kevin, thank you so much. We always enjoy talking to you. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. You too.
All right, see you. That was Kevin Brown joining us here on the Bat Around for a nice, lengthy segment that was just top-notch. Really appreciate him coming on.
He's always top-notch.
Yeah, he's a good soul, and his calls are – we didn't even get to talk about his call on the Trey Mancini inside the park home run.
Yeah.
But the calls are always awesome. And for me, you can tell how much fun he's having.
Sure.
Calling these games.
Definitely.
I think it definitely comes across. Just want to remind you that today's show is brought to you by PressBox's Glenn Clark Radio, which is the definitive place to find the best daily discussion of Baltimore sports. Watch the show every weekday from 10 to noon at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or Facebook.com/PressBoxSports or Listen to PressBoxOnline.com/radio with podcasts available on iTunes, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. You never know who might pop up on GCR this week. The guys caught up with Jorge Lopez, Connor Norby, Gary Thorne, Tim Kirkchin, and Bruce Zimmerman. Find those interviews and more in the Glenn Clark Radio Week in Review feature right now on PressBoxOnline.com. Long show today, but we're trudging through. We got to catch our final break. When we come back, take to Rake and the payoff pitch around the league. That and more next on the Bet Around.
Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Visit Howard County presents the 2022 Major League Quidditch Championship, a Harry Potter-inspired, real-life, full-contact, mixed-gender, 12-team Quidditch tournament happening at Troy Park in Elkridge, August 20th through the 22nd. For tickets and more information, go to visithowardcounty.com. Maryland, be open for it.
Hey Birdland, join in on the fun and celebrate the 30th anniversary of Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Saturday, August 6th, as the O's take on the Pittsburgh Pirates at 5:05. The first 15,000 fans 15 and over will receive a 30th anniversary Oriole Park t-shirt. Then stay post-game for the Birdland Summer Music Series presented by Miller Lite I Love the 90s concert, featuring Drew Hill with a special performance by Cisco and Smash Mouth. Tickets start as low as $15 at Orioles.com/tickets.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now, and it's our very first Salute to Coaches issue. On the cover, we recognize Ravens coach John Harbaugh ahead of his 15th season. Also inside, find tributes to Navy football coach Ken Niumatalolo, UMBC soccer coach Pete Caringi, Maryland soccer coach Sasho Sarabsky, and field hockey coach Missy Maharg, Mount St. Joe basketball coach Pat Clatchy, and Poly basketball coach Kendall Peace. We also honor recently retired Johns Hopkins lacrosse coach Janine Tucker and Calvert Hall baseball coach Lou Eckerl, the athletes whose lives these coaches have impacted, offering insights on what makes them special and why they've stood the test of time. PressBox is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook Assistant GM Leon Twyman and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and offer you a few winners. And every other Thursday at 11:40, tune in for Weekend at Bookies as Andrew Stecca and Alloy Sports' Brad Kronthal help make you some money for the weekend. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a wide range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Toyota to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook General Manager Leon Twyman and VSiN's Aaron Oster joins the guys every week to give you all the info you need and offer you a few winners. And every other Thursday at 11:40, tune in for Weekend at Bookies as Andrew Stetka and Alloy Sports' Brad Kronthal help you make some money for the weekend. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday, brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio and watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. That's simply the bets and weekend at bookies.
Thank you very much, Zach. Certainly appreciate that. Just got to check on this real quick. All right. It is now time for the payoff pitch around the league before we get to take to rake. This show has gone so off the rails with everything I had planned that I'm like somehow in a 3-hour show.
This is definitely the latest. What do you call it? Payoff pitch around the league has been done.
Well,
this is the latest.
We've skipped in the past. I don't want to skip it this time. Dean Kramer tossed 6 in the third innings of shutout ball, and Ramon Arias drove in the lone run with a single through a drawn-in infield as the Orioles won their 4th straight, shutting out the Pirates 1-0. Brendan Lau recorded 2 hits and 3 RBIs, a back-of-quality start from Corey Kluber as the Rays held the Orioles at bay in the wild card race with a 5-3 win over the Tigers. Nick Gordon finished a triple shy of the cycle while driving in 3, and the Twins survived a blown save by new closer Jorge Lopez, topping the Blue Jays in 10 innings 6-5. Max Stassi hit a 9th-inning home run to give the Angels a 3-0 lead, but the Mariners came storming back to score 3 in the bottom of the 9th before a sacrifice fly off the bat of Taylor Ward gave the Angels a 4-3 victory in extra innings. Trey Mancini hit 2 homers, including a grand slam, and drove in 5 to lead the Astros over the Guardians 9-3. All 3 of Mancini's hits with the Astros have been home runs. Xander Bogaerts and, oh my gosh, I think it was Rafael Devers.
Sure,
but
we'll go with that.
I forgot to put in the other name in this. Xander Bogaerts and, where is it? This is really bad. I'm sorry. Hang on 1 second, everybody. This is the bat around the payoff pitch, and Paul is unprepared for some reason. For some reason, I didn't put in. It was Alex Verdugo.
Xander
Bogaerts and Alex Verdugo combined for 7 hits and 3 runs scored as the Red Sox coasted to a 7-4 win over the Royals. Paul DeJong ripped a 2-run game-winning double off of closer Clay Holmes in the bottom of the 8th as the Cardinals shocked the Yankees 4-3. Is it Paul DeJong or Paul DeJong?
Paul DeJong.
Paul. That's what I thought. Yeah. Dylan Cease became the first non-opener starting pitcher to allow 1 earned run or fewer in 13 consecutive starts since the ERA became an official stat in 1913.
Wow.
Tossing 6 innings of 1-run ball to lead the White Sox over the Rangers 2-1. What's more, the one run Cease allowed came in the first inning of the ball game. Justin Steele struck out 10 Marlins batters in just 4 2/3 innings, and Wilson Contreras hit a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 8th to take the lead as the Cubs spoiled the Marlins night 2-1. The Phillies hit 5 home runs, including blasts from Rhys Hoskins, JT Realmuto, Nick Castellanos, and Kyle Schwarber, while Kyle Gibson allowed just 1 run in 8 innings as the Phillies cruised to a 7-2 victory over the Nationals. Ronald Acuna Jr. had 4 hits, and Eddie Rosario homered and drove in 4 to help the Braves even the series with the Mets 9-6. Rowdy Tellez hit a 2-run shot, and Tyrone Taylor hit a 3-run shot to provide all the scoring the Brewers would need in the 5-1 win over the Reds. Eric Lauer allowed 1 run over 7 innings to pick up his 8th win for Milwaukee. 6 innings of 2-run ball out of German Marquez was not enough for the Rockies as the bullpen couldn't hold the lead, allowing 4 runs in the 7th and 8th innings as the D-backs came back to take down Colorado 6-5. And finally, Tony Gonsolin struck out 6 over 5 shutout innings, and 3 Dodgers drove in at least 2 runs to topple the hyped-up Padres 8-1. The Athletics and Giants were off on Friday and begin a 2-game series tonight, which leads us to Zach's preview of today's matchups.
All right, game 1 of the day is a doubleheader. Braves and Mets will play 2 today. First one's at 1:10 at Citi Field. Jake Odorizzi versus the lefty David Peterson. Then the Marlins and the Cubs, 2:20 at Wrigley Field. Pablo Lopez, maybe a future Oriole, against the lefty Drew Smiley. Angels and Mariners, 4:10 at T-Mobile Park. Jaime Barria against George Kirby, the very good rookie that's been aforementioned on the show a few times. JT Brubaker and Austin Voth for your Baltimore Orioles against the Pittsburgh Pirates, 5:05 tonight at Camden Yards. 6:05 at Citizens Bank Park. Nationals and the Phillies. Patrick Corbin goes against Ranger Suarez, a lefty battle there in the division. Astros at Guardians. Luis Garcia, Cal Quantrill, 6:10 at home for the Guardians, Progressive Field. Shea McClanahan, the lefty, against Garrett Hill, the righty. Tigers and Tampa Bay, 6:10 at Comerica Park. White Sox with Michael Kopech, their great young starter, against Dane Dunning, who's also a promising young starter for the Rangers, 7:05 Globe Life Field. Another 7:05 game, Giants and Athletics. Carlos Rodon, maybe another future Oriole, against Adam Oller for the Oakland A's. Giants A's at the O.co. Braves and Mets, game 2 of that doubleheader. Max Fried, who's having an amazing year, against Max Scherzer, the matchup of the Maxes, 7:10 at Citi Field for game 2. Nate Eovaldi and Daniel Lynch will go head-to-head Red Sox and Royals 7-10 at Kauffman Stadium. The Blue Jays, they'll start Mitch White, their first start with Mitchell White on the mound for the years. He comes over in that trade from the Dodgers. And then former Oriole Dylan Bundy takes the mound for the Twins 7-10 at Target Field. Domingo Germán, not having a very good year, will face the former Yankee, Jordan Montgomery. The Yankees will battle the Cardinals at Busch Stadium 7:15 tonight there. Nick Lodolo, the former top prospect, takes on another former top prospect, Aaron Ashby, as the Reds will take on the Brewers 7:15 at American Family Field. The Rockies and D-backs, Anthony Santazella against Merrill Kelly 8:10 at Chase Field. Mike Clevenger takes on the lefty Andrew Heaney 9:10 at Dodger Stadium as the Padres and Juan Soto go to battle with the Dodgers. Final game of the night, Angels and Mariners. Reed Detmers and Chris Flexen 10:10 at T-Mobile Park. That's game 2 of that doubleheader as well. So we have some doubleheaders on tap. Pretty exciting matchup with Max Fried and Max Scherzer. It's going to be a good day.
Sounds like it. We still have not figured out the final the overall standings for Take to Rake.
You won this week. I know that.
Yeah, well,
pretty easily.
I took Adley Rutschman this past week. You took Zach took Ramon Arias. Rutschman 7 for 21, 4 doubles, 6 walks. Ramon Arias 3 for 22, an RBI and a walk. I won running.
I don't think there's anybody I could have picked that would have won.
You could have taken Santander.
He wouldn't have won though.
He's got a 15-game hitting streak.
Yeah, Adley Rutschman had an incredible week though.
Adley Rutschman had a great week. I don't know for S's and G's. Let's see what Santander's week since last Saturday looked like, and we'll be able to tell you exactly what he did and if he would have been able to stand a chance. It may have come down to just overall on base percentage because I still think he had a nice week. Let's see, he had 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hits in. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 for 25.
Okay,
so he had the better batting average. He had 3 doubles, and 1 home run. Santander would have won.
I was going to pick Santander, but since he was a trade candidate, I did not.
Right.
That's what happened.
Yeah, that's what it was. You couldn't take him. You couldn't take Trey.
Right.
And you couldn't take Odor. Well, why would you take Odor?
Why? Right. And then
remember when Ryan Blake took Odor?
That was a shocker.
Yeah.
Someone took Pedro Severino last year, which was a shocker. I think it was a guess.
I think it was Kevin Brown.
It might have been Kevin Brown.
I think
maybe it was Jason Lockett-Ford, one of those two.
Did we have Jason on the show last
year?
We did. I know we had him on the year before.
Early in the year, it was like April. Yeah, we had him early
maybe
on.
he did take pay. I don't know.
Something like that.
Anyway, so I won. So I get to pick first this week. And my pick is going to be a surprise.
Okay. Well, you can't pick Adley, so it makes it...
Right. I'm taking Ryan Mountcastle.
Okay.
He has a couple of multi-hit games this week. He has a few walks this week. He said he feels like he's seeing the ball better. I think that's been evident in his at-bats. He's always going to have that chase in him. But I think that we're going to see him start. And the one out, the first out that he made, he hit a hard line drive right at the shortstop to turn into a double play.
Yeah.
I think that Mountcastle is going to hit a couple of home runs this week and really start to get it going for the Orioles as they try to make this playoff push here in the season's final 2 months. So I'm taking Ryan Mountcastle. Who you got?
When you said surprise, I thought you were going Vavra. That's a consideration for me, but Rutschman's right there. I'll take Rutschman.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not take Adley Rutschman? Although Santander has that 15-game hitting streak.
He does.
Vavra's hitting well.
Yep.
Cedric Mullins is there for the taking.
Yeah.
You know, there's a few guys.
This week there's good options. Last week we were a little bit tough with the trade deadline.
Yeah. So, final thoughts. It's not really a final thought. It's a continuation of our conversation because look, the Orioles have an opportunity in front of them, Zach. And again, 56 games to go, 45 of which are against winning ball clubs, including 15 against the Blue Jays. Look, first of all, are you satisfied with just a series win against the Pirates?
No, I want to sweep.
They should sweep them.
Yeah, they should sweep them.
They should sweep them. And it's not because you think that you're just so much better than the Pirates. A, you are. But B, you need to win the games that you're expected to win.
I agree.
Right? You have to take care of business.
With 15 against the Blue Jays coming up, at 45 against winning teams, that's tough.
You've got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. It's
right.
The 30th anniversary of Oriole Park at Camden Yards this weekend, the celebration.
Right.
And so you need to you had a great turnout, even with the rain delay, the 2-hour rain delay last night. You had a great turnout for that game last night. You're going to have another great turnout tonight with I think Mussina and Eddie Murray threw out first pitches last night, or maybe maybe one of them did it last night. One of them's doing it tonight. Cedric Mullins bobblehead last night. They're giving away a 30th anniversary T-shirt tonight. So nice promotions going on at the ballpark. You have a good ball club that's right in the thick of the playoff chase. Fans are going to be there. This is an opportunity to get a sweep. Extend your winning streak to 6 games by the end of this weekend because it's tough sledding after that. I think so what's the schedule like after? You have the Blue Jays are coming to town Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then the Red Sox, then you're going to Boston for you're going to Boston for 1 for a makeup game, and then you're going to Tampa Bay for 3 before you come home. Before you go to Toronto. Holy crap, what a schedule.
Yeah.
Go to Toronto for 3, and then the Cubs come in for 1 that Thursday, and then the Red Sox come in.
Okay.
It's going to be a tough road ahead.
Should be.
And so, and it gets me back to the point that you have to put your best foot forward. And look, I'm not stupid, right? So I know that Gunnar Henderson isn't the likely guy to be called up. I understand why Jordan Westburg would make sense in your eyes, in Kevin's eyes, in the Orioles' eyes. I just look at it and I say, why are you still worrying? Guys like Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, you buy out their arbitration years. So I'm not worried about service clock. I need guys on the... This isn't my team. This is the team I root for. I am not on this team. I'm not part of this team. I just cover this team and I root for them. The Orioles need Gunnar Henderson and their best players that they can have on their roster. And you don't have to do anything that hurts your ball club to do it. Getting rid of Brett Phillips and Rougned Odor to get Kyle Stowers and what's his name? To get Kyle Stowers.
I'm not sure who you're referencing.
To get Kyle Stowers and Gunnar Henderson.
Gunnar. Okay.
To get Kyle Stowers and Gunnar Henderson up on the Major League roster should be a no-brainer. And, But here's the other thing, though. You didn't trade Hayes. I mean, Hayes, of course you didn't, but you didn't trade Santander. So, and you have Vavra. Vavra's getting on base at a decent clip. So, where do you play these guys? I guess you won't call up Gunnar because if you're going to call up Stowers, he's going to be DHing and playing in the outfield, and you're going to have Vavra playing more second base. But is the writing on the wall? God, this is like stream of consciousness. Is the writing on the wall that Rougned Odor's days may be numbered?
I think his days are definitely numbered. I think they love the energy, and he's a Brandon Hyde guy, no doubt about it. He's definitely a Brandon Hyde guy. Brandon Hyde loves these fiery, passionate players who lead well, and that's what he does, and I'm not going to blame him for that, but he's frankly bad across the board. Outside of maybe his glove's okay. I do think the writing's on the wall. I don't know who the replacement will be. I hope it would be Jordan Westburg. That'd be my guess and probably my.
Well, I don't know that they even call somebody up to replace him. To
maybe not.
Play second base. I think that what they do then, if they're going to DFA Odor, is you call up Stowers.
Yeah.
You add Stowers to the 40-man roster. He comes up. You have Vavra playing second base. You have, but then that makes your. That means that your guys don't get days off. You have to call up an infielder if you get rid of Odor.
Presumably, yeah.
Yeah, you have to because you're not going to have a bench of.
Maybe Aruz comes back off the injured list at that point.
Get him out of my life.
He's a lot better than Rougned, but
I don't think he's a lot better.
I at least assume he is.
Well, it's hard to be worse. Brett Phillips is somehow worse. But because you're not going to have a bench of Chirinos, McKenna,
right?
Brett Phillips, and then Kyle Stowers and Vavra splitting time at DH, second base, outfield. You're not going to do that because then Mateo Arias and Arias can never have a day off. They can't get hurt. They can't have a day off. They can't get a spell. You know what I mean? You have to call up an infielder. The Orioles having 5 outfielders, technically 6 if you count Vavra.
Yeah.
On their active roster is bananas.
It is.
It makes no freaking sense.
It's got to be 4. A number's always 4.
Yeah, and is Diaz not Diaz? Is Brett Phillips? Is he out of options? Can he not go down to the minors?
I would assume. I can check on that.
I guess he would have to be then. He would have to be if the Rays didn't send him down to the minors and they just DFA'd him. He has to be out of options. At 28 years old, he's been a major league player the last 4 years. I have to imagine that he's out of options at this point. So the Orioles can't send. So I'll tell you what's going to happen is they're going to send down Ryan McKenna. They're going to send down Ryan McKenna.
They could.
Brett Phillips is going to stay on the active roster. They'll call up Stowers, and I don't even know.
I don't believe he has any options. I would be surprised.
Yeah,
he's been in the league since 2017.
I feel like there's if they want to get anybody else. If Mike Elias said, we have reinforcements from the minor leagues coming up in the next 2 months, and they want to get guys on this roster, you got a roster crunch right now. You've got 5 freaking outfielders on your and a 6 if you count Vavra. Who else is there to play the infield?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of great options. You talked about Richie Martin. He's not really an option. Arauz, not great either.
Arauz should have never been an option.
Yeah, other than the fact that he's 23, maybe there's something left there in the speed.
Right, but let him figure out
Versatile.
the minor leagues then.
Okay, fair enough.
Because he was a Rule 5 pick. That's the only reason that he has Major League experience is because he was a Rule 5 pick. That doesn't mean he needs to be on your Major League roster now. Send him to the minors and let him play.
I don't necessarily. I mean, Rylan Bannon is an option, but I'm not a Rylan Bannon guy either. I'm just naming him.
And he only plays third base.
Kelvin Gutierrez, who some people really liked in the offseason.
I liked him in the offseason, and he came up and couldn't hit.
Yeah, he's a good defender again. Get a good. It's pretty dry when you look at the bare cupboard is what they usually like to say. It's not great when you look at the Orioles minor league depth behind the top guys. So
that are on the 40.
Right.
That are on the 40 man. Because if you're not calling up Westburg, if you're not calling up Gunnar Henderson, you have to call up. You're either moving forward with Rougned Odor and Brett Phillips, which means to me you're not taking a playoff run serious.
Right.
You can't have 2 guys hitting as poorly as they're hitting, playing in your lineup 3 or 4 days a week, and with in Odor's case, it's 5 days a week. To me, it's Vavra needs to be playing every day. And if you're going to call up Stowers, he needs to be playing every day. I just
agree.
To me, the Orioles have some serious roster moves that are coming, maybe as early as Monday. I don't know.
Hopefully.
I don't know. But the sooner they get rid of guys who are all character and no bat, the better. Because you have guys on your system that have great character and they can also hit. Right?
Correct.
They can hit.
Correct.
Right. So
at least we think they can.
I'd like to believe that they can translate. If Taron Vavra's translated to this point, now we've seen plenty of guys get off to hot starts to start their big league career and come back to earth, and I think he'll come back to earth. I don't think he's going to hit 467. You know, I know he's not.
I also don't think that. Yeah.
But if this is a guy that can hit 270 and still get on base at a 350, 360 clip, that's a guy that should be in your lineup every day.
Definitely.
So, and I just want to be clear that I'm not using this platform as a way to hate on Rougned Odor and Brett Phillips. The bottom line is they're not good baseball players, and I don't have anything against them personally. They don't. If your team is a competitive baseball team, they don't have business being on that team.
I agree.
You know, now look, you can make the case that Brett Phillips has been on the Rays the last couple of years, and he had that big hit in the World Series. Okay, I can understand him as a 4th outfielder, but then you got to get rid of McKenna, and I still don't understand the move for Rougned Odor. Rougned Odor has never really played on a winner, right?
No, I mean
Texas was
wasn't
okay
very good
with him. They were okay.
Yeah, right.
He was on the Yankees, but the Yankees DFA'd him, didn't they? Yeah, that's how the Orioles were able to sign him. So, and the Yankees didn't win a World Series or anything. They haven't won one since 2009.
I'm not sure what happened with the Yankees and Odor. He could have been on that playoff team. I don't remember, but he certainly, like you said, never played for a quote unquote winner. He hasn't been, and he's
never been a cog.
I was going to say, even if he was with the Yankees last year, which I don't remember, but he wasn't a key guy.
Right, he was with the Yankees.
I know, I'm saying, but in their
playoff
run, I'm saying he wasn't a key guy if he was there. I don't know if they DFA'd him before that or he just became a free agent after the season, but he certainly wasn't a key guy, not a guy that you could have placed any bets on to get too many hits in that World Series or do much damage. So
right. So last year he played 102 games with the Yankees. Postseason batting, he had 1 game, 2 at bats in the AL wildcard game. He played against the Yankees and he struck out once.
Okay, yeah, so not great numbers there.
Yeah, because the Yankees lost the wildcard game. They didn't get out.
Oh, you're correct. Yeah,
they lost the wildcard game because Boston then beat Tampa Bay in the division series to get to the ALCS. Surprisingly, now Boston is floundering. But long show, kind of went on a stream of consciousness there to end things, but a really great show. Special thanks to Stan the Fan Charles for his weekly segment. Thanks to Eric Arditti coming on and talking about Trey Mancini's impact on the Orioles and on the Astros and the return. And a great thanks to Kevin Brown, who is always great, came on, spoke with us for about 25 minutes about all things Orioles and how much fun he's having. They were a huge reason the show was so much fun today and why this show was so good today. Thank you to Zach, as always, for everything that you do every week. Guys, we will talk to you next week. We'll actually have a Ravens preseason game to talk about at the end of the show.
We will.
Next